Futures pointing to the downside here this morning ever so slightly as we get going on a Tuesday morning. A lot as far as individual storylines to touch on this morning, including more EV, China deliveries for Tesla. A little bit lower than expected, 2 in a row here coming out of China for Tesla, not matching what was expected. Keeping an eye on GME, meanwhile, downside we go once again this morning, continuing this slide that was basically right from the open yesterday. The stock sold off throughout the entire session to the tune of 4.6% here in the pre-market. Once again this morning, we do have a little bit of economic data to keep in mind today coming up at 10 o'clock. We'll get that JOLTS number. Job openings for April, that's the biggest one. Factory orders at 10 o'clock as well. 8.4 million was the prior number there for that JOLTS, first of 3 employment data points to come this week. Remember, non-farm payrolls coming up on Friday will be the big one. And the last data point really before the Fed next Tuesday. So everybody going to be, outside of CPI, obviously, for the employment side of things, everybody going to be keeping an eye on that.
It's like the first time we get CPI on a Monday. I don't feel like we've
been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah, so interesting stuff today, guys. Roaring Kitty raising the ire of E-Trade. They're looking at possibly suspending his account there for market manipulation, or they're alleging. Intel coming out with a new GPU to rival the other GPUs that we got from AMD and NVDA the other day as well. And then Meta being hit with a lawsuit by New York State, Brendo. They're trying to limit social media for kids.
Yeah, once again, I mean, they'll pay a speeding ticket as they always do, and life will go on typically. But yeah, that Roaring Kitty story is an interesting one. A lot of people with a lot of opinions on that. E-Trade, as you mentioned, one of those. But I mean, the stock itself, I was saying to Ramin and Fabian this morning, just doesn't feel the same as the first time. No. There just isn't that, intensity and just day after day after day after day follow through as we saw back in 2021. Here we are right now, pre-market, back at the lows here, guys. 26.50 coming into play, already down about 5 here for GME.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. And it turns out
we're wearing blue again.
I know. Well, I wear a lot of blue. I'm not gonna lie. Blue's one of my favorite colors. I'm a Blue Jay fan. It is what it is. But no, and there's actually what's crazy about this GameStop thing is yesterday, I guess the implication was that everyone thought it was the posting of the positions. It maybe was because of the timing of this, like, drawing the ire of E-Trade and then the investigation. But it would turn out that it could potentially be over the first innocuous tweet of the meme. Which, I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend to understand it, because how is it any different? If you bought calls before and then you just post a picture of a meme, that's somehow possibly worse than you take a massive short position in a stock and then come out with a 10-page report about why the company's terrible. Like, one of those things is a little bit more harsh than the other. But again, we'll see how this all plays out. What's interesting about it is if those calls get exercised and he takes delivery, he'll own over 6% of the GME float with 17 million shares, which would be...
I don't think he'll be able to take delivery of those.
I mean, obviously, who knows? But anyways, it's a large position. The stock is weak today. I'm actually thinking, I paid for locates on both GME and AMC, and if there is any push up and GME can't break 32, I want to be shorting AMC. The Intel news, I mean, so they're going to come out a couple of days after and a little bit late. We'll see if it can hold that $30 level before. I'm not terribly excited about that. I like some Apple today. That was pretty strong stock and then held pretty key support in there. And then NVIDIA days before the split. It's just so super strong. It got to 11.57 in the aftermarket last night. Super strong stock. Insane.
Yeah, Google, Apple on watch. Yeah, look, I mean, I said that even on the recap show last night. I talked for just a couple minutes or whatever about GameStop. And it's just like, it is kind of a joke. We should be allowed as, citizens to post what our positions are and what we think, especially on a public free forum. You have other people like Neil just mentioned there. Warren Buffett can no problem mention that he's buying 30% of Occidental. He likes the company. There's absolutely no problem with that. CEOs can go in and buy other companies out. They can say, hey, we're looking at Beyond Meat, but anyways, as it goes on, this is what happens. When people start to lose money, people get excited about it, and Morgan Stanley upset about something. So we'll find out what that is. But for right now, yeah, I mean, we can't, regardless of whatever happens, I kind of find it like, if you had that kind of a huge position long at 20 bucks, both in options and with shares, I mean, I know he posted that he didn't get out and everything like that, but like that's a monster win to get out of any of those calls at any point through here. So I think the story is still to be said. I mean, I don't know if you guys, I didn't really follow, particularly the posting of all the accounts back when he was doing it before. But as we had mentioned on, and I think it was it Dan McIsaac? I don't know if you're in the chat. He was posting it yesterday on the recap show that's what's happening. So as Sharif mentioned there, we're getting some more interest in GameStop, and I don't think the party is going to be dying anytime soon. So $27, it just, these are good levels coming through. I don't know, like if it dips into this 23, 24, 25 area, which it could do immediately off open. Like we saw it yesterday, go all the way down 20, 22, $23. It's not, these are good levels for GameStop. So we also talked to Michael Noss yesterday evening, and he was mentioning that AMC is a completely different beast because GameStop actually hasn't diluted shares as much as AMC, and there's a whole story behind all that. They're still a business, and they have $2 billion of cash, and this is GameStop I'm talking about. So I feel like there is some more legitimacy to this business.
I think that's why it's
$2 billion in cash.
It's easier to short AMC than it is the others because no one cares as much.
Yeah.
GameStop has some things that are positive about it. So like that's why I'll go to other places. There was Funware. It's crazy, but I saw that Funware had an offering, and I was like, oh, that's probably going to move, and it's down 12%. And I was going to be like, oh, Funware could be a trade today, but I forgot the fact that this sucker split. So the volume is not very good. I just only bring this up because we talk about this when it comes to reverse splits all the time. Look at what happens when these things find any kind of a top and pull back after a reverse split. Like the trend is just undefeated. You might get that initial pump. You might, and it did. Like you had one little bounce in here, and then look at the strong move up and a bit of a squeeze, I suppose. But it just broke that low. Oddly enough, they come up with the split right when it's testing post-split support. So they come up with the offering right when it's post-split support at 580. So Funware, I don't know if it's enough volume to be interesting, but pretty nasty. And Brad Oldman, split day is coming for NVIDIA. It is the 10th. So we are days away from the NVIDIA split, the good kind of split. Funware, the bad one.
We were just talking about last night, there was a few analysts with opinions on this as well. Citron was one of those, suggesting that there's no possible way, given what happened the first time around, this could be just him alone. The size of the funding required. And they actually came out and said, there's some sort of backer here. It just doesn't financially make sense.
Which is funny, Brendo, because Citron was always accused of taking a short position, then releasing the hit piece, right? Which is funny how it works that way. So it's kind of the pot and the kettle. But yeah, they did the math. And according to their math, he could not have made that money from his previous trade, which is insinuating that he's being backed up by somebody else. All insinuations, all allegations, all unsubstantiated.
Yeah, I mean, whether he does or not, it doesn't matter at this point. But I want to mention this real quick, complete other direction here, but 3, 4, 5 days in a row here for crude oil, straight downside. Get ready for 70 bucks, it looks like, once again. This is that level, that 68 to 70 that we've been bouncing off, going all the way back to the beginning of last year, essentially 2023. Yeah, it's been since what, April, the beginning of April, oil's come off significantly.
Yeah, and the cuts from OPEC Plus really continuing to do damage to the price per barrel here. We'll have to keep eyes on this. There is an unfolding situation in the Middle East. It's always a wild card. You never really know how that's going to affect things, but great move here. I mean, personally, I don't like to see oil high. It really affects everything else, from food to energy prices, from heating your home to everything. So a cheaper dollar per barrel, not bad.
But hey, we're going to get cheaper gas prices, right?
So they say.
Right. A few equities downside here in relation to this. That's MRO, 2 days in a row. Just looking at Chevron as well. Gapping through some support here for CVX.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I was talking about yesterday Occidental is going to get under 60 bucks, pretty darn close. And then it's that Buffett level at 54, 55. But CVX is gapping under support. This one I like in the 40s. But you haven't even bounced off the 50, so the 200 period moving average yet. So this is going to be a pretty key support for Chevron in particular at that 55 zone. If we lose that, I think you could see some acceleration to the downside. But the one, as mentioned yesterday, that I'll have the eyes on, at least for myself personally, like I own Chevron in the long term, and I'm not doing anything with it at these levels. But Oxy, I mean, it's right at $60. I mean, literally the last few prints have been at 60 bucks even. If this gets back down into that 50 zone, all I need to see is a reversal, something along the lines of this, or maybe you get a consolidation break, whatever it is down at 55, 56, that would give me an indication that it's bottoming again, and then just take another shot that Buffett's doing his old thing of buying this in the mid-50s or buying it when it gets underneath the $60 level. It seems to always make its way back up at least to the mid-60s, and if not like the $70 level, and then you just get like a 20% move. But it's getting down there, and I've only done it once since this level has been holding for quite some time. Anybody that's been following Oxy, you've probably seen this all the way back to 2022. Like when it broke out that level, it has just been an absolute brick wall at $55. So we're 10% away from that, or a little bit less than 10% away from that. Stone's throw. I think it's ready to get the Oxy bids in. Eventually, I mean, at some point it could stop working, but until then, the Buffett line is still there.
Yeah, I mean, I think oil, global, they increased. Yesterday there was a story about OPEC there with demand, and oil was down 4 or 5%. This name here, Schlumberger, I think is something to look at. Like this name.
Whoa.
I was just looking at Schlumberger here, and they're down 15% on the year. Provision of energy technology operates through the following business segments: digital integrated reservoir performance. I mean, I'm gonna have to figure this out because Winslow Capital acquires 4 million shares. Evoke Wealth purchases 45,000 shares. Sorry, 5,000. Anyways, we'll have to look at Schlumberger, but this is another name here that just keeps getting beat up. So, yeah, look, I think the best thing to do, and again, we talked about this yesterday on the recap show with Michael, because I was like, what's going on with oil? Oil down 4 or 5%. Oil had a big nasty candle, and I'll show it to you. But right there, XLE. I mean, this name is also, if you're going to start to think about, drawing something out going here. I mean, this bottom, this is that little candle right there that we've just broken below now. So this is going to be a little bit of an issue moving forward. Got to try to get back above this $91 mark for XLE in some of these oil services. And then here's USO. I'll show this to you. This was yesterday, if this loads up. There it is. I mean, this is the candle here. Boom. So it's a huge move. You break this support level of the 200 period moving average of $74. So there it goes straight to the downside. So yeah, oil right now, I mean, in trouble, but I don't know, is it signaling a slowdown globally, economically? I don't know. I mean, that's generally what happens when oil is starting to go to the downside. Somebody's trying to think about something. You do have the election here coming up, obviously, so I could feel something about that with oil, but I don't know. Nice downside move right here. I think you want to buy it up. And for me, I actually, as long as they lower the price of gas, I'm fine with that. Because
but they don't.
But they do. What do you mean? Gas is like 153 or something.
Relative to moves down in.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'll save the money at the pump and then buy more stocks.
Well, that's yeah. I mean, I'm definitely gonna be.
It's like a perfect situation. This is a perfect situation for investors.
Well, it's good for investors. I mean, overall for the economy, it's not necessarily the best because we always talk about this. Like when you finally get the rate cuts, you're not gonna like why you get the rate cuts. So if demand for energy goes down, if the chinks in the armor are there for the labor market, suddenly you start thinking about that slowdown, which is inevitable, and it's an election year as well. But there's some interesting names. I was talking to Sharif about Enbridge, which oddly enough bounced yesterday. Okay. I mean, everything else was down. Enbridge with a nice little bounce. It's a little different. Enbridge, and it's not just oil there. I mean, it's gas as well. But yeah, that's one here in Toronto. I was looking to see if that was worth it at the 200 period moving
I haven't
average.
looked at these things.
And then I didn't realize, I don't really look, it's my long-term account, but it's nowhere near the 200. It's nowhere near even like recent support levels. So, you know, not everything is pulled back as far, but you got to keep your eye on energy. As far as the trade, I'm just going to be patient for Oxy and maybe make another swing trade in that one. GameStop's approaching lows. $26 level is coming into play here. There could be, and I don't know, like 26 was the bottom yesterday, and then 26 was kind of a key level. Let's go to the 15-minute here so you can see. Like 26 was the high last week, so I would suspect if you lose that, you're probably going to see some selling. The $23 level was pretty key as well if you're looking for bounce spot. I was looking for a short pop and then trying to grab some AMC on that, but looks like already pressure, more pressure, I should say, on GameStop.
Yeah. Let's talk FSLR here. Another industry that's been quietly having a pretty good couple of months here. Solar is. First Solar back to basically the top end of the range this morning. Morgan Stanley with a positive note and a price target increase here for FSLR. That's a daily chart for First Solar.
It's a fantastic looking chart, and it's not for no reason, Brendo. The Biden administration has threatened up to 100% tariffs on imported solar panels from China. So that really helps the local producers like First Solar get a boost here. So here's what happened. Morgan upgrading this one to a buy from a hold from 248 price target to 331, says basically recent changes in trade policy will incentivize developers to produce more domestic supply, enhancing the pricing power for domestic manufacturers. They're also saying that data center is going to take so much electricity, there's going to be demand for other forms. They're calling for a 1.8% compounding annual growth rate for demand, Brendo, for energy for data centers.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've been up here. You got to zoom way, way out. This is 2008 levels, guys, for FSLR.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the data center story for just in terms of energy demand, that's something we talked about with Mike Edwards, actually, from True Trading. And you're gonna see all kinds of pressure. Like, I think that could benefit nuclear, whether that's big for solar. I'm not much of a solar. But I think long term, I think it'll be absolutely fine. But not too big on it just yet. But FSLR, sometimes it's pretty obvious when you're looking at the best of breed and all that kind of thing. And other times, you know, you kind of have to pick and choose and do some diligence. Every now and then the chart just tells you the story. I don't like diddling in the middle, though. So you're in this consolidative phase on First Solar, and you've had runs at 85, you've had runs at 260. You're trading literally in the middle of that range. As far as the trade goes, this is a perfect example of I wouldn't be, like, I'm not doing anything with this stock. If it starts breaking out the top and we can get a run into 300, that's tradable at least. Or if you're dipping into support. But for now, I think you let this one figure itself out in this range. If you can find longs to buy off the bottoms, great. It's really only tagged to 60 the one time, or it can be breaking out the top. Until then, you know, I'd rather just be backing off of that. If you can find a name that hasn't moved, that's looking for a follow, that's a bit of a different story. So I'm hands off for FSLR at these levels. Personally, not a ton of volume either. You know there's going to be some moves in the memes today. We know there's going to be moves in the chips. Got Apple out there, Tesla, Rivian. Oh, and we shouldn't be sleeping on the cruise names because CCL has a chance to break out a big level on the daily after its run yesterday. So there's a lot to be looking at. First Solar, not diddling in the middle.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about the ETF because there's so many different names that we can get involved with. And then again, First Solar is just so huge right now. This TAN ETF, we've talked about these things all the time. On the market recap show, we always review sectors and what's been happening and potentially where some sectors are going. And that's what I like to focus on with some of the guests that we've had. And look at this move. I mean, we've been talking about solar for a minute down here at $40. So just to say, okay, we had Solar Edge and some of that destruction last year as we realized that rates weren't going anywhere. And then off the bottom in October, nice move back to 55. And then right here, it made a complete 180 or whatever, I guess, yeah, turned around reverse, Uno reverse on this all the way back to lows. And then now we're going back to the upside. So I think the TAN ETF is interesting here, above the 50-period moving average. If this was me, I like the stock. TAN ETF moving forward for First Solar, not a bad opportunity right there. All right, so Bitcoin still 68, 69 right now, looking to break through 69, and Ethereum still 37. I feel like we've been in this spot for weeks. Probably not true, but ever since we got that Ethereum announcement, we're kind of hovering around 3,800 here. So we'll have to watch that. I'm debating putting ETHE on the sticky note here.
It's been a while for that we've been here. Like it has been quite some time. I at least think that Bitcoin has been doing absolutely nothing. Rejecting 70, rejecting 66. It is weeks since we've had a big move, but I think that's a good sign. The fact that you're getting consolidation around these highs is a good thing, but you know, a definitive break one way or the other is just going to be more exciting. But if you're in this one long and holding, you know, you can't be upset at all. I do want to have this time Coinbase on the radar today, at least on the chance that it gets into this 240 level. Had 240 marked off, and then it, like from Friday, essentially, it rejected 240 like to the wick, and they had it marked off. And you know, yesterday we were trading, you know, GameStop at the open, and having a look at NVDA, was in AMD, and then didn't even pay attention to Coinbase rejecting up there at the 240 level. We get back up, and I think there's a short opportunity on Coinbase. It seems unlikely when you're at 230 bucks, but at least want to have it on the radar. If we're not busting through 70,000 and crazy things happening, I don't see why that can't be a trade on any spike up.
Amidst all of these meme stocks on the run, we actually have a heavily shorted name kicking off the list on the upgrade side. It's going to be Upstart getting this upgrade from Redbird Atlantic and a 25.50 price target. Qualcomm getting upgraded as well, but trading a little bit lower here with this upgrade from TD Cowen. Nice move up here with Sentinel One getting upgraded by Canaccord Genuity. And last but not least, in the upgrade side, recent Chinese EV IPO Zeekr getting upgrade from Piper Sandler, a couple other analysts as well sharing some positive insights for that stock. On the downgrade side, Oklo getting downgraded here by Citigroup, gapping down to about 2.5%. Stanley Black & Decker getting a downgrade here from Keefe Bruyette. And Mizuho, responsible for these last two downgrades, both Procore and PTC getting a Mizuho downgrade today, guys.
That Zeekr price target is 160?
I think it's by Zeekr Capital, they said.
Yeah. Okay. Good for you. No, it's like 26. It's $25.
Maybe that's a mistake.
No, it's probably. I'm joking around. It's probably. It's 30. It's 35 bucks. I knew that was probably just like. No, even 35 for this recent IPO.
Ouch.
Like we'll see. It's actually not terrible. It hasn't been terrible. If you look at it, it's really only down like a little bit. I think the interesting one would be Upstart on that list because of the short float. But then I look at where the stock is trading. It's like, what are we doing here? 35% short float. So it's got the juice. It's got nothing else happening in it right now. So like yesterday was looking pretty good. And then everything just kind of fell apart there. Yeah, I just don't see a reason why this could go squeezing unless it's breaking. Like 26 would be a level on Upstart that could go really, you want it over like 28. It's just barely trying to put in a higher low as we speak. I like this double bottom at 20. I like higher lows off double bottoms. Maybe not quite a trade there just yet on Upstart, but something could be brewing. If this double bottom holds at 20 and it can hold that higher low, I think you could get a potential squeeze with that short float. But yeah, unfortunately, just not at a level or at a price where you get some excitement going. But you never know. This should be on the radar just because of the short float, and it's in front of a nice level at that $20 level. Zeekr, I don't think there's going to be much of a trade there.
Yeah, you know, a name. I'm going to be having Tesla on watch a little bit here today as well. But it's just, I bought Rivian at 11.25. Like that's literally what it's at right now, trying to break higher. I think we might be able to get it. So we did have a nice move down here on Rivian. We did support $10 real well, like real well. You know, like there wasn't. This is going to. And when DraftKings went down to $16, I said this is probably an amazing opportunity to buy something like DraftKings. I don't feel the same way about Rivian because I don't think it's in an industry that's, you know, revolutionary, and they're definitely not first mover advantage or anything like that. But this $10 level here, 11, get long, see where this can go. I think this is going to be one of those great opportunities. So Rivian for me. All right, let's see what they're up to at the desk.
MRIN just popping up here in front of me. There's not a lot of volume behind this, but Marin Software, M-A-R-I-N. Back downside this morning. This was one that popped up after the close yesterday. I don't see much on this as far as news is concerned. I saw a few people talking about that, but definitely some volume behind this morning.
Here it is.
Oh, Amazon integration.
Yeah.
Okay. So MRIN, but again, there's not a lot of attention behind that, but a decent move after the close yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't actually have eyes on this. Thanks for pointing it out. Rises 32% as the company expands Amazon integration. This article reads, they're looking basically to provider of marketing software and made major enhancements in its Amazon integration. Doing decent volume this morning, about 400,000 shares traded so far. $8.4 million market cap. I'll give you the float on this one super quick here. It's about 2.8 million shares, so just a little bit less than 3, so careful with this one.
It's worth noting, past couple of days, we've had, 4 days in a row for yields straight to the downside. This is the dollar today showing a little bit of strength back at 104. I mean, if you zoom out, it's really not doing a heck of a lot, but we're just kind of chopping around in this range after that latest move downside, guys, this retracement for the dollar continuing.
The old USD retracement happening. Instead of that, I know MRIN's making a bit of a move. I'd have eyeballs on this one only because it just MLGO here, micro algo. Look, first of all, it's a Chinese company. I don't know why I feel the need to say that, but when I see the flag up there, just to let you guys know, it's a low float runner, like 4.5%. So basically, they announced that they're doing like a quantum research center. I don't know. Okay, Quantum Research Center, yada, 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 4.5 million float. It just made a spike up trying to test the $5 again. So this is just about how small the float is in my estimation, and then you're gonna try to run it higher. You can see where this thing was trading, doing absolutely nothing before under $2. So you understand what can happen if it loses the $4 level. And we've seen these sort of low-cap Chinese names do this before, but it's done pretty decent volume. It's over 13 million, at least according to what I see here on our platform. So very good volume on this MLGO. I'd be careful with this at the open if it's at those highs, but if it's still holding $4 and can make another run into 5, that's a bit of a different story. I just think the gap fill could get nasty if it loses 3.5. You got to have yourself an out with this, and it would be a halt risk as well.
All right, so UUP would be something to look at for the US dollar. Just if you want to trade it as a ETF instead of, a dollar, yen, or whatever. So there it goes, trying to break lower. A lower US dollar has generally been good for tech stocks. So I kind of look at, as the US dollar is starting to go to the downside, that's better for the Qs and for TQ and things like that I'll be trading. So, yeah, I think continue to watch it. You can see the level here on UUP is 28.50. I mean, that's been pretty decent. So we'll see. It goes all the way back to April 1st. We haven't been as low on the dollar since April 1st than where we are right now, and it's June 4th. So we'll take out 2 months here, then see what happens if we can break through here, 28.50. So I think this is also part of the reason why we still continue to have, whoopsies, I don't know what QQUN is, but right there, a relatively high NASDAQ, and we keep on watching the futures, which is over here, but looking at the Qs, I mean, you're trying to hold on, and it's been doing well. If the US dollar was so super strong, we probably would be looking at a little bit more of a fade here, but holding it up right now, NASDAQ, looks like it wants to still be as resilient as it is, man. I mean, every day this market goes for a little bit of a run and then seems as if jog its way back up to flat or positive. I mean, yesterday we wound up 0.5% or something. It was down. And then we had that huge run on Friday afternoon. It just keeps on going. So, I don't know, people, what's going on with Thinkorswim? So Thinkorswim, I guess, is down. So.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot
I
of
have no
people
idea. Our system's completely
A lot of times, like, you'll hear, like, we might even hear in the news service if a major broker was having issues, but I've seen a few people complaining about it. I haven't seen too much about that on the X machine there, but yeah, unfortunately, that's going to happen from time to time. Yesterday, there was that issue at the NYC, which is now resolved, which caused some erroneous halts, and some ridiculous prices on BRK, and then you couldn't trade some stocks for a little bit. That all got resolved eventually. But yeah, just good luck to anyone out there if you're on Thinkorswim. You know, your broker works for you. Make sure you get on them to be sure that you can make some trades. Or I saw some people talking about GitLab. I want to be able to get out of GitLab. I came in thinking there might be a chance for a short opportunity, if only because GitLab broke out. Like, it gave you a break after market and then faded the break, which sometimes traps some people into a reversal move. So when you look at it on like this higher time frame, it's like, yeah, it busted 50, maybe it trapped some people buying some 50s in there, and then you're now underneath. But the volume, as usual, is ridiculously low on GitLab. Gonna have to wait for it to open up. I'd favor shorts back into 50, but it's already at $46. So yeah, this could be one where we're just sitting it out on GTLB. Good luck to everyone out there on TOS. I haven't heard anything official, but you should probably just be able to find out from Twitter or just get on your broker there. Let's go back to the desk. I think it's time to see what's going on in the futures.
All right, let's get into everything else we need to know here on a Tuesday morning. Sharif is always going to lead us off with a look at the market.
52.97, guys. That's where we closed off yesterday. Another few points below that key area, 5,300. So funny enough, we're not using it as support. We're using it still as resistance. Down about a quarter point right now. If we reclaim 5,300, let's go ahead and say 53.37 as that level of resistance. But if we stay below 5,300, let's look for that 52.50 as support. That takes us back to the low from yesterday.
Yeah, market continuing to find that range or the edges of the range. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab that. Go to the website, wait for that pop-up to appear, enter your email address, and then it just comes right to your inbox. Every single day has all your homework done for you in the pre-market. So Tesla just did that. Yeah, not seeing anything yet, but there's clearly something just popped out here on Tesla. Decent move down on volume as well here for Tesla, guys, so just be aware. Conveniently, Tesla is top of the list coming off this. I'm just keeping an eye out. Tesla top of the list here coming off this Chinese data that came out, 72,573 units in May, down 6.6%. 3 in a row. Selling continuing as well at this point.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, look, the year-over-year change is down about 6%. The month-over-month change, which is not usually the right comp, is up nicely about 16.7%. That's for Model 3 and Model Y deliveries, but it's the year-over-year number that you really need to focus on here because of the changes in demand there in China. And there's been umpteen amount of stimuli put in by the Chinese government to spur EV demand. It still really hasn't helped Tesla sales.
So Elon Musk ordered NVIDIA to ship thousands of AI chips reserved for Tesla to X and XAI. That's from CNBC. So Elon, according to CNBC, Elon ordering NVIDIA to ship thousands of AI chips reserved for Tesla to X and XAI instead.
Well, I mean, there's two ways to look at that. I mean, part of it would be the same old, get your focus on Tesla, get away from other things, and that's bad for Tesla. The other way would be, well, we don't think we have the demand to need them, and then that would also be bad for Tesla. The good news for Tesla, if there is any right now, because I wouldn't consider that to be great news, but it's the support that it's had here. So 173 and 171, those look like they're coming into play today. I don't like this at all. I was looking to, whatever, we're not shorting 180, we're not getting 180. Previous close 176. The 175 was a good dip support level as well. I think you let this one settle down because a fade on Tesla this close to that support level at 173 to me doesn't make a ton of sense. That's a pretty big support level. So I'd be looking to grab a short pop in relation to this news. I don't see it as all that good. You closed at 176. That gives you a dollar range into the high to work off of there. There's a couple of ways to look at that as potentially negative for Tesla, whether it's just the demand issue, which I think that's what it is personally, or just maybe the focus being in the wrong spot. But I think that's more of a demand concern here for Tesla.
All right, so just real quickly, I want to say a big shout out here to David Fabian. Thank you so much. Appreciate the note as always. Sticky note format is the best. I mean, thank you. I appreciate that. He loves it every single day. Thank you, Mr. David Fabian. We wrote down Tesla 174. I like the China story with FSD here. Obviously, there were some bad numbers there in China, better last month than the month before. So, look, this changes everything to me because now why is he changing the order routing of these chips? Obviously, we know that AI and Twitter, X, is a big look. I mean, he has that Grok. They're trying to get going with that. They're trying to compete. Obviously, he believes as well. Look at this. If this 174 holds right now, let's throw something. No, just joking. But there it is. 174 holds like a charm. And if we were just sitting here and not overanalyzing something, this right here that I put out 10 minutes ago says 174 long. So it hit 174, and now it's at 176. So that was a good idea. But for now, I don't think it's that smart to do that. If you want to try it again, you can. So I think that once something changes with a stock, you have to look at it. But this just sort of solidifies what we've been doing here forever, and that is trying to find the best prices with the best stories, with the best reasons to hit them. So right now, this changes a little bit, but look at that 174. Honestly, all this does is give me more confidence. Even though we missed that trade, it's just that level held on news. So perfect. I mean, this is kind of the stuff that we're looking for. I like Tesla down here. I still think this marches to 200 at some point. Will it get hit on the back of stories like this? Yeah, because their leader has many different things on his mind. So that's what happens right there. But the Nasdaq's bouncing back up. So you know, nice recovery day here. That Tesla 174 is probably going to be mint, but oh well, you got to trust your notes. It's $170, $175 name, and it should be now $2 in the money. But too bad the news hit. We'll wait to see what happens on the CNBC report.
GME, yeah, still weak, still downside. It's actually bouncing right now back above 2650. Nothing really significant as far as news is concerned this morning. We were touching on it a little bit earlier this morning. In that, a lot of people with a lot of opinions on this whole E-Trade angle with Roaring Kitty and whether or not he should be removed from the platform. And I mean, Citron, as I said, even coming out saying he definitely has a financial backer with this. There's no way financially this could be just him.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's exactly what we said this morning. E-Trade really looking to take him off here, and there's going to likely be, you know, pushback from some of their clients. Morgan Stanley is a big holder of these hedge funds' monies. That's where you park your money there. So expecting some pushback. I just want to highlight the Tesla news, Brendo, because it's a hot item here. With respect, if I can go to the screen here, so. $10 billion planned for AI training and inference in 2024. Tesla's increasing their H100 orders from 35,000 to 85,000. There's delays in getting some of those because Elon is prioritizing some of these GPUs for X rather than for Tesla. So that's putting some delays here on the H100 project at the Texas Gigafactory.
Yeah, that move was interesting. It kind of feels algo driven. I wanted to highlight this as well, just going back to GME real quick. It's trying to hold 175 is Tesla right now, but volume yesterday in the pre-market, way higher than it is today as well. So interest coming off the weekend, obviously bigger than today.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that's going to be true. And you know, the way that things ended for GameStop in the afternoon was pretty much as bad as you can be. Like, you're at those lows and you get all these news stories out there. But I kind of look at it as 32 was such a wall all afternoon that if it doesn't really break through that, like any massive moves into there, I think can be faded. But where I want to be fading, and I've said this before, and I'll just kind of stick to it, it's going to be AMC. Because even if GameStop breaks out, I think it's a little bit more muted in this name, and it tends to follow it pretty well. The $5 area is just sitting there for you, 5 into 5.15. So if we get pops to the upside, this is the one I want to be fading. So that's what I'm going to lean into. I do still think GameStop $23 is a key level. That was previous high. So if it gets down there, I'll look for another bounce zone. I just feel like I got to trade it not the way I did the first bounce zone, which was getting out in front of it. Like, let it bounce, put in the higher low, and try and grab like these kind of longs. You get the wick bottom, grab it up in here. You get the wick bottom, grab it up in there. You know, get that, you grab it up in here, instead of just standing in front of a falling knife. Like, let it bounce a level, and somebody else, take it that first 30, 50 cents, sometimes even $1, and get that consolidation breakout if you're catching a dip buy. So 23 is the level I'm looking at there. But I'm shorting pops in AMC as long as GameStop is under 32 bucks.
Look, we wrote down GME 23 bucks. So I think that this is going to be something that we need to look at for sure when it dips back down in. I thought a quick move could happen early, then we'll buy up some 23s. So that's what I'm looking for GameStop, quick moves to the upside. I don't want to short this name, just quick moves, upside if we can get it. We had it yesterday and then it flushed right at the end of the day, which was completely fine. I mean, was a red name. I think, like I said, it was a bad name yesterday. But I think today we can possibly get it going. Let's just play the direction. Like, if you like the short, I think there are some obvious levels, and I think there's obvious levels long. So down here at 23 is what I wait for on GME.
Intel and AMD, if you rewind the clock 24 hours, we were sitting here talking about AMD gapping to the upside on this new AI chip being released. That's what happened at the open for AMD yesterday. Intel, here we go again, same story, taking on the likes of NVIDIA and now AMD as well. So back to the upside here for Intel today.
Yeah, Intel announcing yet another AI processor. You'll recall they announced the Gaudi, I think, a few months ago. Today, it's a Xeon 6 processor specifically made for data center, apparently with better performance and better power efficiency. Similar announcements as well from AMD and NVIDIA over the last few days. Intel's aiming to catch up with the AI market, and they make their own chips. Keep that in mind. So supply controlled by them. NVIDIA and AMD got to rely on Taiwan.
You and I were talking yesterday about the simple fact that everyone is going to get to a point where they're almost forced to be in this business and making their own chips. But for the time being, still NVIDIA's game, 1.8% meanwhile for Intel.
Google. All right. Yeah, I don't...
Strong. Oh, Randy.
Yeah, Randy came through.
Usually he sticks around when he brings this.
Yeah, cheers. I wanted to ask him about ExxonMobil, but I will when he comes back. Okay, so Intel right here, down to 30 bucks again. Yeah, I mean, this is a great level.
Yes, sir.
I prefer Rivian at these levels when we looked at the same chart, but this reminds me of Rivian, where Rivian held to 10 bucks. The problem is we don't have any garbage below this until you go all the way back over here. Whoops, I don't need to draw this line. So what I'm trying to get at here is two things. One, you could go back and retest all this garbage under here because $30 was great. Well, I mean, actually, I guess it never really held on the way down. But once it came back, we started to have some of these tops right into there. So once we started to break above, then it started to look a little bit better. But realistically, that top is still 31.20, 31.50. And then if you go to that very top that we've just recently made, 32.50. So now when you zoom sort of back in a little bit, you say, if we don't hold this 28, or sorry, that's 29.85, so 30 bucks, then I do think that you do have to come back down here and look at some of these lows again from last year, the 24th, February 2023. So once you get back into those levels, then I think you can really start to think about loading Intel up. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good story. I don't know. I just feel like everything Intel releases is already too late. But that's, you know, not for me to decide. It's for the market, and the market's already decided about Intel. And they really punished holders of this stock only if you sell. So now you got to hold on and say, okay, are we now buying this name down here? I've already said that there's a PC revolution coming, and it's probably already on. I think Best Buy is going to be a huge benefactor of this as well. Best Buy has a really good dividend, but look what Best Buy just did. And we were talking about this last week when it was down here. It was one of the ones that we were looking for earnings. Best Buy already rocketed upside. So, you know, I like this play for PCs, not necessarily Intel, but that might be gone already. I don't think Intel has this kind of juice behind it, but I like the name, and I do like the stock. AMD, I think, NVIDIA is just so much ahead that it's hard for me to sit here and be like, AMD's down 0.4%. You know, let me buy AMD because of on weakness, right? Why can't we just buy NVIDIA on strength? Like, NVIDIA's up against the market, although it's pretty flat right now. We should be looking to buy dips, I believe, in NVIDIA over any of these other names. So NVDA, AAPL is one that is traded around here because of the price. So this could be something to look at as well. So dip downs in NVDL or NVDA, I really think are the best ways to play this, but obviously the most risky as well. There's trades for everybody. You can trade Micron, SMH, Soxcell, Intel, AMD, like Broadcom, SMCI, which by the way, thanks for that credit yesterday by Jay Lee and Danielle Shea as well. But anyways, yeah, I just think, we said it yesterday, the king is literally in the building, and we have an opportunity to trade it every single day. So NVIDIA probably going to be on my mind somewhere here, 1140.
I don't know that I trade Intel unless it is the $30 level. And it's, look, I mean, depending on where you sell, like I sold Intel twice, one on the way up and then one after it failed the $50 level in here. And I've said I'm not touching it again until 25 or the end of the year or better quarters or something fundamental that's better about it. But on the weekly and on the daily, $30 is a good support level. So with good news, if it does give you a dip reasonably in front of the 30 level, I think that's not bad. But it's way up here at like 31 bucks, and I'm not a huge fan of that. AMD, this definitely is gonna, I shouldn't say definitely, it's looking a little bit weak again today, down 0.5%. It was a flush job yesterday. And if you look at it, it's right at that 50 period moving average. It's been hugging this line for a while, but at least the support has really been, when it looked weak, you had support 64. The last time it was down here, it bounced off the $60 level. So I think that's your 60 and your 158 are the two spots that it could go. I marked off 67 for a short. That doesn't seem very likely either. And as for like, NVIDIA, if it takes out 1160, it could fly today. Let's be real. Going into the split, 1125 was the dip by price yesterday. If it dips into there and catches a bid, I'd like to be long on NVIDIA. I only had one long in NVIDIA yesterday, which is a mistake. But if it takes out 1160, there's, I mean, pretty much that 1200 everyone's been calling for going into the split, seeming more and more likely every single day that we trade. And someone in the chat mentioned they like TSM. I like TSM too. It's just, it has some risk, of course, geopolitically, but there's so many places you can go in the chip names to trade. Yesterday I started trading AMD and NVIDIA, and then Micron late was just as good. So you never really know where you're gonna end up.
All right, some big tech to watch out for today. Not a lot of price action behind this, but that's Google right now on a 15-minute chart, chopping around inside the range from yesterday. A little bit red here. What is it? 0.12 for Google. Microsoft looking very similar, chopping around within the range from yesterday. But hundreds, I guess, is the key here for both. Job cuts coming through end of the day yesterday and then this morning for both.
Yeah, they're not big, but they're controversial because the companies are making record profits and their price, the stock price saw a record high. So you can imagine the pushback. Here is where Google's cutting. About 100 employees, as Brendo mentioned. It's going to be in sales, consulting, marketing, operations, and engineering. Specifically for Microsoft, they're laying people off within their mixed reality division. They have this, it's basically a HoloLens 2. It's essentially like the Vision Pro, but made specifically for industrial and commercial purposes. They're looking at it, upgrading it using software rather than the hardware. So that's the look there. Hence the change in strategy.
Yeah, it's never been a big giant cut all at once in tech this year. There's just been these like slow, smaller setbacks. But 413 here for Microsoft, trying to hold and move back to the upside already.
It's actually like, it was Google I traded over Softy yesterday, just because it was a little bit. It was a great setup off of VWAP in the afternoon, so it was really more about that than anything else. I like the fact that Softy's holding 400. It'd be better if it gives us all the dip buys we want, but until this gets above 418, I think it's still under a little bit of pressure. See this? Pull down underneath the 50 period on the daily, and then that 418 is turned into resistance since that dip. So I don't think anything differently today about Microsoft. I want to be bullish on it, but I'm not feeling that great about it. We heard Danielle Shea sort of say the same thing about that 50 period simple on the daily, so I don't disagree with that at all. Alphabet is a little bit stronger when you look at the chart, clearly. Nice, strong upward trend, try and take out these highs, which it has not been able to do. It was a good VWAP short that busted it out. So I like the over-under game here on Alphabet. If it's holding the bid in the opening range over 173, then I'm going to favor looking for the long. If it's holding underneath 173, then it's yet another rejection of this key level. And when it does that at the open, the last 2 days, at the open or early in the day, it rejects 73 and flushes. At the open, it rejects 73 and then dips. I don't want to call $1.50 a flush on Google comparative to what happened on Friday. So I think that's a pretty clean and clear level. I'm going to let the opening range play itself out in Alphabet. There's other things I like a little bit better. One of them, you mentioned Rivian there. Sean, I was going to leave this for its own. This was my idea of the week off the $10 level. Obviously, it didn't exactly get to $10 yesterday, bouncing at $10.75. But the consolidate, a higher low, bounce off to 50, trending back up. It seems like it's poised for something. It's down today, which on weakness could mean a dip close to that 10 level. 75 held yesterday, 50 held on Friday. I think both of those are pretty reasonable, even the $11 level. If it does anything resembling this kind of a bottom, higher lows breakout, then I want to be in the dip on Rivian. You just got to be patient because most of the times these dips, that's a midday bounce on Friday. Yesterday, that's after midday. That was like 12:30, 1 o'clock. So you might have to be very, very patient if it does go dip hunting on Rivian. And if you have to wait half a day for a bottom like that, I think it's worth it. I don't think you need to be early on something trying to catch that bottom. If it starts dipping, I'm not going to assume you have to catch that bid at 9:45 or 10 o'clock just because you get that FOMO. So you got to be patient with this. But those quarter levels, each one of them I'll be looking for here on RIVN.
Okay, we can go now, Ramin. All right, brought to you by today's rundown, brought to you by American Air's trading in the USA under symbol AAIRF and in Canada under the symbol Wi-Fi. Doesn't get much better than that. This company just announced a knockout punch, a global marketing partnership with, you guessed it, Mr. Dana White and the UFC. Airs Tech is dedicated to bridging the gap between technology and wellness. Airs Tech mission is to provide cutting-edge solutions that protect against electromagnetic radiation without disrupting everyday use of technology. This innovative company has seen consistent revenue growth and boasts several high-profile customers like Russell Brand and top UFC athletes. Invest in American Airs today on the OTC market at AAIRF and over here on the CSE with symbol Wi-Fi. Very, very interesting technology there with the UFC. So check those guys out.
All right, we'll talk SMCI here. 4 days in a row here, straight to the downside for this one. It was very highly mentioned at the end of the day yesterday. Some short covering maybe coming into the close here. A nice move up after. Yeah, I mean, this whole group was weak throughout the day, but SMCI getting hit. Back to 750 here, trying to hold once again this morning.
Yeah, we saw what happened with AMD yesterday. NVDA was kind of sideways, but SMCI also down this morning 1.5%. Here's a headline that came out late yesterday. So they're unveiling their new X14 AI rack mount. It's based on the new processor that Intel just announced today, that Xeon 6 processor with E-cores. So look out for it. Possibly could be market moving.
Yeah, if you zoom out a little bit, you get a better picture of that move to the downside that appears to be continuing at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 6 days in a row down. If you go back, when it rejected just underneath 1,000, it's got really, I mean, nasty's not necessarily the word because we've seen it move more than this, let's be real. Like it did this exact same move in April in one shot, and then you did it again here like right at the end of the month in 2 days. So it's taking a little bit longer to get down here, but every time it's gotten to 700, and when I say that, it's been 3 times in this year at least, it's bounced at the 700 level. So I think you know where you want to be patient and wait for it to make a shot at bouncing, and I think that's the $700 level on SMCI. I've only traded it 3 times, and it was a very specific setup, which I think is very unlikely to happen today, which would be it tries to break out a previous resistance in a downtrend, so it tries to break out, say, the 775, fails it at the open, then consolidates under VWAP, after the opening range is set, usually 10 to 11 o'clock, and then you just look for a short off of VWAP. If that somehow happens on SMCI, I'll trade it. If it doesn't, then it's going to be NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel for me as usual. SMCI, either the 700 or a very, very specific false breakout and then reversal pattern are the only ways that I would trade it. So down 1%, clearly weak, into I mean, it's a flat market. I know the NASDAQ's down 0.1, but it's overall been a pretty flat morning.
Yeah, I didn't get to touch too much there on Google, but I mean, this is going to be a top idea for me. It's actually Google 174 short sell, so it's right here on the sticky note. With these cloud layoffs, we saw them yesterday happen in Microsoft, and then today back forth through Google, so we just talked about this. They're both going to be on watch here, but for me, I really like the Google breakdown here. And I love the stock. It's my #1 holding, and it's been heading to the downside. I wonder if it can get a little lower here. Just if the NASDAQ does give some up, I feel like a 174 short is an opportunity that isn't horrible. It's not the greatest opportunity either, but here on the 20-minute chart, we have the 200 period there. We did poke its head above before, and that was not great because if you shorted into that was 176, and then we got to like 177, you spiked up to, so it's broken through the 200 numerous times. But again, just looking at this 173.50, it's kind of like we're right here right now. So I don't know, this could be a good opportunity. But the market has just been so resilient lately that I find like it's hard to sit there in front of a name, especially when we've seen like moves that can sort of really go. Like yesterday, look at this move on Google earlier, 172 up to 174.50, then before losing it all the way back down. So like it had a pretty violent move early. You had to sort of withstand it and believe in that. What if the futures keep on going instead of the other way? So Google, a very, very sensitive name here today, but I do think it's going to be a good opportunity to short it. The cloud space has been super hot. We know that. And look, laying off 100, 200 people at a time, it adds up, but the amount that are employed and just the sheer numbers at these companies are still huge. Microsoft might look better because it's under the 50 period, so that could be something.
Can't
right
break
there.
that thing.
We do have to go to Sharif, but let's go to Sharif now, and then we'll come back because then there'll only be a couple minutes left.
Nice, you, Sean. Thanks, man. All right, we're talking about the short squeeze all week. Today, though, we're going to be talking about decoding the squeeze by looking at the cost of the borrow fees. Make sure to catch that with Adair and I on How to Trade at 11.
Interesting topic there. Now remember, when you're talking borrow fees, there's a big difference between trading day trading here at, say, like real trading, where we'll pay 1/8 of 1 cent per share traded to be short on a GameStop. And then, if you're shorting it and holding it overnight, that is a totally different ball game, and it does matter what those costs are going to be. NVIDIA already. NVIDIA waits for nobody. NVIDIA was red. NVIDIA's back to green. It's at that 11.55. We're going to get imbalances in about 30 seconds, and then things could pop off. We'll see if there is anything on that locator, but there was an early spike there in NVIDIA. Tesla's still on that rebound trail, although still putting in some lower highs in there. Let this one open back up. The previous close, 176.25 into 177.25. It looks like a spot. If this news continues it to the downside, rather short tops than try to short it too close to what I think is a 173 support. And there's another spike in NVIDIA. You look away for 2 seconds, and NVIDIA goes up another $3. The imbalance is probably out now. I don't know if NVIDIA is going to be leading that list. Probably not. Just up because it's NVIDIA. So no significant imbalances at 928 unless you care about 200,000 to sell on UiPath. But already a spike here in NVIDIA approaching that 1160. We're going to get 1160 pretty much at the open, I think.
All right, yeah. Just a couple minutes ago, I was like, we just need to buy NVIDIA. I thought we were pretty clear about wanting to just get long this name. Again, it's easy to sit here and say that. It's one thing to push the key. It's there it goes. Hard to do it in the pre-market for sure, but there goes NVIDIA. See ya. Ahead of the split, shout out to Danielle, shout out to everybody that's been saying NVIDIA. And I was like, why are we even looking at AMD, honestly? There goes AMD still down in the dumps, NVIDIA still cruising. Intel has this great news, right? Yeah, not moving. NVIDIA, see ya. So it's just like, it's not even a tale of two stories. It's a tale of one story. NVIDIA continues to go higher here. I like Tesla off the open. We'll have to watch it. It's probably going to break that 174. I want to let it base. That's the big thing for me on Tesla today. I love the long, but it needs to do something. I also bidding Apple down 192.50, but look at that spike that just happened there right now. Of course, we marked this down when it's at 193.50. Now we're ripping upside there. And Amazon, again, another long possible down here at 176. So we'll see what winds up filling here early.
As we have 10 seconds to go on this Tuesday, already looking like another NVIDIA market day, because that's how they roll. Hit it, Adara, in 2 and 1, ring it.
All right, here we go. The U.S. markets are now open, and we will see what is in store for us today. Looks like Apple is saying, about that dip. 195 right now. This is close to all-time highs. Of course, the all-time high and 52-week high of Apple is 199.62. So that's going to be coming in through probably in the next couple of days. We'll revisit somewhere near that $200 mark, I would imagine, as Apple right now is going to take out that 195 area. Dow is down, NASDAQ is flat, S&P to start the day down as well, 0.2. So watch out for Apple right now. It's trying to do some things. Google's not doing much, and Amazon's going high side. So we're right about these things. Just the market is starting to go a little bit early. Early note from Adara.
Ooh, that's
Keep an eye on Boeing here. BA, this one up about 1%. 9 aircrafts in China saying, according to their spokesperson, they're expecting an imminent delivery of this new 737 MAX, saying they're expecting it to arrive from Seattle on June 7th. So keep an eye on BA. This one could have a nice catalyst here, guys.
Yeah, good look for BA. You want anything, it's not bad news for them. CCL is already making a run at a breakout here on the daily. Here's 1642, which is the top on that daily chart. I had this one off note and on its own on Twitter this morning because I felt like it was doing its own thing yesterday. Didn't think the break would come into play this early, but if it takes out that top, looking for the long there. NVIDIA is starting to dip, so if you like longs in NVIDIA, the dip buy potentially coming into play here. I mean, 1125, who knows, but 1140 was that support level late in the day yesterday and early morning top. So if we get a dip down and bounce there, I think I'd look for that to the long side. GameStop is popping up. It's at 27. I want to fade AMC on moves up in GameStop. So if it rejects here, going to look to short the pop in AMC instead of GameStop.
Yeah, the market, I was debating, I was just looking at GameStop as well. Looks like Google's trying to head to the downside right now. I don't want to get too excited about all of this, but Apple, I think you could buy it almost right now. This is where VWAP is. It's only 932, so I wrote down that we'll have to play fade backs into VWAP, but it's so early to do anything right now on some of these names. Google is absolutely doing what we thought it would do, and it just didn't get to the level that we had thought it would. It got to 173.60. We are waiting a little earlier on that one, so we do miss that opportunity there for Google as it does start to come back to the downside. 173 possibly there against this for a short. Let's try it right now. We'll try to get a little bit short here on Google. And while we've missed it, okay, there it is. It comes back up and fills us a little bit there. So we are now in one position. And we hope it flushes down, but we meant to do this. So there we go. Let's see now what happens with Google, 173.20. I feel like that's a decent spot to get out if we're wrong. So we'll go short right now on Google. It's starting to pay off just a little bit as we are starting to head lower. So one position right now in the money, 25 cents. Let's put a bid out here at 50 and go see what Adara's up to.
Nice look here for TeraWulf, getting a nice little volume pop right off the open, up over 10% for WULF. Bitcoin miner announcing an operational update. So nice little catalyst here for WULF, guys.
So GameStop is retaking that $26 level. I jumped into this, so $26, there's a spike up in GameStop. There's a drop back into the downside. I grabbed the short in AMC on that move to the upside. We got it here VWAP-ish at 470, starting to head back into the downside. CCL just broke as well, so we're into the long on Carnival Cruise as it's making a bit of a move as well to the upside. Dell crossing, looks like the bottom might be in on Dell after yesterday's flush. Big spike in, trying to break 135 even. So got AMC short off that breakdown on GameStop, and then we're in the long on CCL on the breakout. So that just happened on CCL. We'll scalp some if it can take out this 50 level and then see where it can go from there. RCL was also strong yesterday's trade.
All right. We already shout out what's up to Daryl there in the chat. He's short with me on Google. I always like that smart dude there. So we are not, I just think he's a smart dude, not smart because he took this with me. But there goes Google right now. Let's go. I mean, here we go. We're doing it again right now. It's Google. It is a nice little trade to the short side. So again, rock with this, and you are going to be 1-0 right now, big as well. As Google making that huge move down in one more time. So there, I mean, let's go. If you're looking for the trades, this is the trade here. For me, we're going to go 1 for 1 with Google. It's a sticky note play. Go find it at Trader TV Sean. It's going to be, I mean, is this going to be a Dollar Club member or not? Looks like it's coming right in right now to those levels. So let's see what winds up happening here. It's Google. It's short for now.
Oh my goodness, what a miss on Tesla. Just got right up to that 77, or at least close enough to that 77 level. We didn't quite grab it in there. I only have 2 positions, CCL. AMC is working lower as GameStop continues to tank, but I'm not going to chase Tesla in there. We wanted to short this one back into the pre-market high. I'm not chasing it down. Have to wait for the next available pop, and then we'll work into it. GME gives up 26 and continues to flush in here. If it can't hold 26, next level is going to be that 23 for sure. So we're getting a big dip down. We talked about Intel and only liking it if it can bounce off the 30 level. We're going to find out in a couple of minutes whether it's bouncing off that 30 level. That's almost for sure, as we're now down at 30.25. This is now red on the day. NVIDIA is also dipping. Not quite at that 1140 level, but it's getting pretty close. Going to preach some patience here. Don't want to jump in too early. Let's be patient with this. If it's going to bounce off 40, let's let it get to that $40 level first. Market is pulling back and now back to red.
All right, just posting this. The sticky note hits again right there. All right, so, I mean, good move for Google. It just almost went $1 in the money. So let's see what it does right here around 172. Let's just put a bid out, whatever. There it is. We'll take another bid out right there. And then put that one on the board and drop a little bit of this cash into the pocket early here today so far on that play. So we'll be excited with that. So far, so good there. As we go 1 for 1, and we'll wait to see what happens next. All right, Amazon. Amazon did get into some of our levels there, and I canceled it actually because we were coming in a little bit too quickly, but we did get to 176 and change. We wanted to look at 176 long, but look at this market now starting to pop up. I guess that was a good out on Google, as Google now coming right back to the upside right there now as well. 172.50. I mean, I still think we can reload this on this move, so let's see if we can do that. Take advantage. Let's just punch down. Wow, you just saw me wipe out a couple levels there, so there you go. We just punched in and got some more there instantly. See what happens? You see, like we wiped that, and then it just went all the way down to 36 there just by me hitting short. So let's wait to see now as it's going to battle itself back up. Again, we could be off on this. Who knows? We're going to be short now, adding a little bit to this, trying to use it against. I mean, 173, I think, is what we can probably hold this out for Google. So let's sort of, share size accordingly for that risk. So, all right, we'll wait for Google. My stop, I'll put it in, but let's try 174. We're loading it back up right now. So the short opportunity is back on here for Google.
So this MLGO just took out the high of the day. That's that low float runner. It's probably going to go into a halt right now at $6. Check that $5.99. Don't know if we'll be able to get anything on that break. So obviously, this is a low float runner. It's a Chinese company. We talked about this one, but it just took out that high. Nope, no fill. Did not get filled too long. I just tried to grab the halt so I could take it, get the halt, and then try to grab it out in the reopen. No fill for me there. So MLGO, probably a 5-minute halt, volatility halt. I think it was a 4.5 million float on that name. Unfortunately, sometimes you get the fill, sometimes you don't. I thought I was pretty quick, but I was clearly not quick enough. So there's another test of 177. I'm going to try and grab Tesla on the back end here, give it to the local high, as that's trying to make a bit of a recovery. The two things were in AMC, still holding the lows. I'd like to be able to short another pop if we can get it down into the 470. If it gets to 450, we'll take another out there. And then CCL is not really doing a heck of a lot. Keep our eyes on that MLGO for you guys. But yeah, it was indicating immediately like a 646 tap. So it was a good chance it could open higher. Low float runner du jour of the morning, but no fill, no fun.
Just listening to GameStop off the lows, 25.94. GameStop down 7 and a bit percentage points right there. All right, so back to the 50 period we go. I mean, that's what happened to Google right there. We started the averaging in, you saw me at 45s, 48s. We talked about wiping down some of those levels. So right now it's at 56 is where our short is, and the stock is right now 5 cents out of the money. So let's wait to see what happens here. It wasn't, now we're flat. It was a nice move on the futures, right? I mean, the futures bounced off VWAP. That's not a great sign for the short. But, you know, if the market wants to retrace back in, we could have something coming through on this move. So let's wait for it. I did like Apple. Okay, come on. Just come on. I did like Apple to the long. Where did I write this down at? Oh, 192. Okay, so we are well off for that right now on Apple. We'll wait to see if that gets down into 192. So that's not there yet. I'm actually going to cancel and just try to focus right here on Google. Yes, let's go. Hopefully this is going to be a good trade for us. Right now we're at 55s. We just take some bids, take some bids, come back in right now. Okay. Yeah, all right, now we're cruising right now. This is the new style, baby. We're gonna go 1 for 1 so far here with a very, very big position on Google. So there it is. Let's see what winds up happening. Hopefully we get to the downside. We have to wait for it, right? I mean, we want to try to see what we can do. GME, we talked about $23 as a bid spot. We'll wait for that as well. Come on down, Google. I like ye a lot. And we put on some shares, and here we go again, man. So let's just see there. Yes, a 22. Are you kidding me right now? I just hope that you guys trusted me on this one. It's a good trade here for Google. We're starting to get some out.
Pay them shorts. That's what it's all about. Man. Google to the downside. I'm out of Tesla. We're taking range here. We said 177 tops. There is your wick at 177. There's your entry at 77, 76, 77, and then we got some out here at the quarters. It bounces another higher low off the 175. So you're seeing support 74, then support at 75. Quick in and out on the scalp trade. CCL's trying to take out the top as it's back to the 16.5. There's some size here at 16.5. On CCL. It bounced off VWAP. Someone threw some size there at the 50 level. I took a third out, and I'm going to get back on the bid on VWAP. This is going to continue. Tesla, if it gets back up to the high, we'll probably test it one more time. The name that I thought we'd be a little bit more involved on a dip does not want to get there. There's NVIDIA. Bounces 1145. Wherever you want it to bounce in the morning to grab the long, rule number 1 on NVIDIA. It's bouncing higher than where you want to grab it. It seems like that's the case every single day. I don't want to be stuck only looking for breakouts on this stock, but higher lows could be the way to go on NVIDIA. It's making a test of that 60. If it doesn't break it a second time, I think you got to be patient on the dips. NVIDIA still up despite that market pullback, Adara.
You have that MLGO, but there's another small cap runner to keep an eye on here. It's going to be Annexon, ANNX. This one up about 45% right now. Neurological disorder treatment, having meeting its successful endpoint in its phase 3 trials. So positive drug-related catalyst here for ANNX with an 8.2% short float, guys.
All right, thank you, Dara. All right, so I was just trying to look at some of the names that we had, right? And so Google just dropped down in the 172 area there, 50 period. We had sort of bought, I mean, we bought a bunch down here, 20s and so on and so forth, but we can't not unsee this level here of 172. So unfortunately, I'm going to put out a few more shares here at 35. Okay, we just got filled. And then let's just wait for that dip in. So I'll put another bid down there at 172, like maybe 15 or so. See if we can get something like that. I just put it at 12 actually. If we can get a dip down, and then I don't want to not see that we dip bought that hard, not with huge volume. It's just that wick came to 172, and then it could have just kept going. There was a lot of momentum early. It stopped on a dime at 170. I mean, it broke, but whatever. 170, 195, and then straight back up almost $1 on momentum back up. I took that opportunity to get shorter, so we're starting to get some out now, knowing that this is really what we're looking for. So I'm looking for that break down below 172.
Apple's tanking.
So is Apple tanking? Okay, well
Apple's dropped
Okay.
I know
what?
you're in Google here, and the market's trying to bounce a little bit here, but Apple just went red
Yeah.
and is getting pretty darn close to that bottom of yesterday. So yesterday's lows were like 192.5. That's the only line I like for the stock. It's got to be down there. If we get it, we get it. NVIDIA is starting to pull back a little bit as well, so we'll have that on radar. Alert to GME a little bit here. It just caught a bid at $25. We'll zoom back in so you can see. So that opening range top, 27.20. When I saw it make that bottom, I immediately punched more shares out of AMC because my stop is 470. Unless this turns at 27, I'm not going to be getting back into AMC. I do like it at the $5 level, but it's a different story if GameStop is continuing its push into the upside. I'm just going to go back to Tesla, see if we get a chance at a reload on that name. No, not really. Still hanging out around those lows. Sorry, around VWAP here on Tesla after bouncing off of those lows at 175. So still a chance we could get in the pocket again on Tesla, but we're going to be very, very patient here. You are seeing that move back down in on NVIDIA as well. Just still diddling in the middle. Like we say, wait for your level. Not going to chase it. Not going to buy that top. If we like the dip buy, we'll wait for it to do that or hold a bid above those highs. Again, you know, everyone's going to trade their own strategy. I feel like you get in too early on NVIDIA that you could be caught in a failed break of that high.
So, I mean, I have that bid already on Apple. We wrote it down there. We will wait for that 192.50, whether or not it comes in or not, like Neil mentioned. I mean, I feel like we have to be patient here with a lot of what we were doing. So let's stay in that, you know, again, for a better word, stay in that pocket a little bit here. Like AMD I was just thinking to myself, what about that dip buy opportunity down here at 161? We do have jolts coming out at 10, and I don't think that that's going to be a big thing one way or the other, but still could be something. So we could wait for that jolts number that comes out at 10 a.m. But at the end of the day, I'm only in one position right now, and it's not really moving that well or at all. So we're going to have to wait to see. The market is trying to go back up to the upside. I almost take that dip down in Apple as a buy opportunity, even right now. But I look and say, why is it doing this? So instead of asking questions, let's just like watch it and see if we can get that bid. So that was something there to look at. And then, like I said, AMD and NVIDIA, I think that it's just wise to really only look at one of them and just lower my share size and just trade NVIDIA because I feel like this is going to be the right one to trade. If the market or if the chip sector really starts to come down, it's going to be because of NVIDIA, not because of AMD. So this could be something that eventually drops out. So now it's at 1150, and I just want to see how this is reacting. See, AMD isn't really doing anything, but NVIDIA is kind of near that bottom right now. So we'll wait to see. I guess NVIDIA just wicked the bottom. I guess it's now back up, but we'll wait. All right, so here we go. The one position that we do have on is Google. We have the stop at 173. So now that we've able to load out of some of our positions, let's just get another position on right now at 172.60 because nothing for me has changed on this name. I mean, we have VWAP here at 173. That was something that we were looking at anyways. We missed that move higher to 174. We did just list it on the sticky note at 174. So that would be something that we'd want to look at if it does come back up there. I'd like to get out at 173 though, ease the pain, and then regroup it upside. But there's a reload. So
ease the pain,
yeah, ease
feel
the
the
pain.
dreams.
Yeah, oh, is that the Feel the Dreams
It's
line?
the line. It's like ease his pain.
Oh, okay. I have to rewatch
I love that freaking movie. It's yeah, that's a great one, man.
Yeah.
And anyone who's a parent is going to understand it. NVIDIA, look, if we're trying to be patient, this is the dip. And NVIDIA, at least it looks like this is the dip. I say this all the time, and then NVIDIA doesn't get there. Back underneath VWAP, trying to break 1150 again. It just put in a lower high, so I think we have a chance that this could pull back into those 40s. Hasn't happened yet. I'm keeping eyeballs on. Like I said, the only trade I would have on Intel would be if it bounces off $30. Well, it's pretty close to 30 bucks. So if that's what I'm waiting for, we might get that. So we're out there. I'm not on the bid. I've got it up on a level 2. If I see like size bounce, then I'll be all over that one. Apple, no fills there. I'm sitting in underneath 193, so I don't know if Apple's quite weak enough to get there. The market's starting to bounce, and we might not be able to catch this unless we play off the 93. CCL, I'm looking for a VWAP dip. Okay. I mean, as the stock goes higher, as you guys know, I mean, vol weighting average price. Early on in the day, it's going to move a little bit more. So when I was looking for the dip in here at 35s, it's now VWAP up here at the 40 level. I'll let this one settle down. I got a breakout on it, and now we're just going to look for this to calm down and give us some kind of an entry off of the 35 to 40. It's going to hold through the 16.5 on that day. There was a couple of other things we were looking at, but I don't know if, like Microsoft to me would have been, I chuckle, but it was like that 418 short of Microsoft. Just going to go ahead and cancel that order. Microsoft is down trading at 411. We're not going to see 418, and if we do, I probably don't like the short at that point because something crazy has happened in the market for Softy to get up there. So the short in Softy is just not happening today, not at the price I want.
Yeah, I mean, and right here, the short of Google, we got short early, and now it's trying to go back against us. So now we are out of the money now, 10 cents on this name. But let's take a little piece off as, again, I'm not impressed with the move. Shout out to Comp SRX1 here as well in the chat. But I'm not like, the market's pulling back. This name should be, sure, it's pulling back now, but it shouldn't, like, why are we doing this? You know, and this is when I find myself getting caught, because that it's like, not just because I don't understand the move, I don't understand lots of things. What's up to my wife? But, you know, if you get all the way to the downside right here, we keep it real in trading, Sharif, and we keep it real, you know, with what we're doing here. So we tell like it is. Well, I'm just saying, in her opinion, like I'm way out of there. Okay, so we'll have to wait to see what comes in now. 170, 172 and change. But what I was getting at before we said that was, why did we just do this when the market didn't do anything? I always look at both things and I try to figure out the story behind it. And then Neil's all of a sudden talking about Microsoft and what's going on there. So as we look to see that Microsoft's not going down at all, if anything, it's going to the upside. Potentially this cloud story that I was kind of leaning on here may not be working out. So we'll wait for it. I mean, I think that's all that we have right now is time. It's only 9:50. This is why I like the Google 174, though. We had talked about some of these levels. So if we're wrong right now, let's get out, and we already have our stop at 173, which we've talked about. That's why we just took some more out there at the 200 period for flat. If it's a problem, then we will regroup it up here, and we'll regroup it with...
Check out the hook.
Yeah, exactly, as my DJ revolves it. We'll get the Ice Baby back in on that and see if we can't diamond hands some of these plays here for Google. But speak of diamond hands, is anything going on with Monsieur Kitty right now? Down 8%. This guy, man, I mean, I don't know where... The other part about that is that story about someone's backing this guy. That's a bunch of BS anyways. He made a lot of money apparently on NVIDIA. Like some of these calls, if he's buying GameStop at those crazy levels, I'm sure when he's made the $65 million or whatever he made off that first run.
Could have put it in cash and been banking.
He could have put it.
Look what cash is paying.
Yeah, cash is fine. I don't know if that guy's putting it in cash.
No, he may not be, but he could have.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know his other plays. Or he could have lost it all, and then it's completely being backed by Citadel. So, all right, here we go. Google right now, trying to go back up. You guys know where my stop is, so we'll wait to see.
Yeah, that would be the height of irony if he was backed by them. But look, man, again, who knows what he did. Just trade the price action. That's all that matters. So you're getting a pushback up on the futures. Tesla did the wick again at 77, but it's much, much stronger this time, bouncing off of VWAP. I just got some out 60s, a buyer showed up, and now we're going to play VWAP. Look at the trend upside on this sucker. Like it bounced. We got the short where we wanted it twice, but this is higher lows. And for my style, I'm going to respect the higher lows. I'm getting out if we can grab VWAP. CCL still doing the exact same thing. It's looking okay. I wish I could tell you NVIDIA was giving more trading opportunities. It's just not, unfortunately. So you're not forced to trade. I'm not seeing the longs in there before. SMCI just gave up VWAP. That's continuing to head lower. We had talked about the Intel 30 level. It's bouncing off of 1312. So thank you very much, Intel, for not stinking enough to give us the bounce where we wanted. I feel like it would have been a crowded trade at $30, but who cares? Your level is your level, and that's the level I wanted. Apple already starting to bounce off 193. I'm waiting down 192.5. I don't want to cancel the bid just yet and give up on that. And remember Rivian? Yes. Rivian got to 1150. Well, look where it is. It's right back here at 1120, the pre-market lows, and trying to bounce.
Rivian, huh?
I was thinking wait for the $11 level, so I'm going to be patient as this is a little bit weaker than the overall market. Now, everybody, like I said, everybody's going to be a little bit different here. I'm going to respect the higher low pattern on Tesla and take this out at VWAP. So the first short off of 77, clearly going to be better. I'm out at VWAP in front of 176 for a 70-cent scalp. Rather stay up on Tesla because the shorts worked, but it's against the grain currently on TSLA, still holding on to CCL. And everyone's usually interested in GameStop. It's moving a bit here. I guess if you went long off 25, you got 26.80. You're still under VWAP. Trend's still looking like it's a little bit downside to me. On GameStop, down that 7%, but it's not exactly falling all over itself.
Yeah, good look there on Tesla, obviously. I mean, I like that 177. I had written down on Tesla there the 174 long, so that's kind of like...
It bounced off that on the news.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying.
Exactly 0-0.
Could have had a monster move.
I think the bid is exactly 174.00 was a low.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that in the pre-market, but we had that news come out, so a little different of a story there. All right, Google right now up to 173. It looks like it did break 173. We're going to give it a couple more above this, usually 10 cents or a little bit more, but at this point, like I said, we could just regroup this trade. Like, it's going to be an L, obviously, after all, because you can't average it up and take the W on it. That doesn't make any sense. So once this breaks, a couple more pennies, we will get out of Google, and that sucks. We talked about Daryl and some of the other traders in the chat having this short, but this is, you're right at, you know what, now that I see that we're right at VWAP, let me just go a little bit higher here on this play before we get out of it all. So, all right, we'll try right now. We'll take a little bit more here, but we are right at VWAP now. I thought it was more at 173, but it's basically right here right now. So a couple more pennies and we'll get stopped out of this one and slap the fail on it. I mean, it was working early pretty good and then not late. And we sort of sniffed it out when we sort of thought about what the NASDAQ was doing versus what Google was doing. So a little bit of a thing there, but again, we haven't been right on it. So whatever my thought was there, not correct late. Could be correct early. Let's see if it happens late. So we just take an 05 print there. So of course we take it out at 90 as it comes back in. We do have some lower bids right here. Remember, we have jolts coming out at 10, so that could be a thing to this market for sure. But here it comes. We just take a couple more fills now. All of a sudden, Google don't look so bad. Google don't look so bad. Yeah, that's what it is. All right, so we'll see what happens right now. Hopefully it goes down to the downside here for Google, and we'll be able to ring some kind of registers at some point. But right now we're flat on it, but we did take an L because you saw our average price was 78. So when you get filled at 90s and then 80s, those are L's. So now we have to let this thing come down in and try to be right on it. You know, this is what it is. So it comes up to our level 173, goes a couple pennies against us. We averaged it in, and we talked about VWAP, and that was the play from the jump. So let's now wait to see what happens here with Google.
Micron down 2%, low of the day. AMD down a couple points or something like that, low of the day. NVDA is breaking lower. The chips are getting flushed.
Are they?
I mean, most of the chips are at the lows of the day with the market not there just yet. It makes me second guess it's 30 level, but it's not there yet on
I like that.
I just grabbed an out there at the 60s, like exactly at 60 on CCL. If it holds VWAP, we'll try to get back in. Now it's being put under pressure. When the market's weak and pulling back in, can it bounce off VWAP and hold that trend? That's what I want to see. I saw some, look, we got a super chat in here, and I just want to respect. Thank you very much, Garrett's O'Neill. Roaring Kitty also in C3A high, 36% shorted. I don't know if that's true or not. Appreciate you posting that. I did look up C3AI in the moment, saw it would try to break out and it actually pull back in. But yeah, I don't know if that's actually true, but we'll get on that. If he's in it, it could be a potential catalyst for C3AI. They actually moved up on earnings, but that just did a little bit of a V shape there in the wrong way, pulling back into negative territory in C3AI. So NVIDIA is now, I don't want to say flushing because it's still at 1140, but this would be the level that I was looking for that bounce. So if it can bounce, great. The market is looking weak, and did I already miss the chance while talking about that super chat? It looks like it.
All right, we're not missing any chances over here right here because Google right now, you can go into the gates of hell. And it's thankfully we changed up our stop loss there. And it's just because we are on the stock. And this is the thing, what we talk about all the time. And Neil just sort of highlighted it there. It's like, if I'm not watching this stock, then it's kind of like, you know, I would have got my stop at 173, just a blind 173 stop, would have got triggered out. And it's not like this has fallen a lot. We just covered some at 60. You just saw me do it at 66 there. Wish we would have covered more of it. But again, you know, that just getting some out there at 70s or 80s or whatever. Now, I mean, we're up on it, so it's been fine. Whatever we're getting out of it now was saved just by sort of having a look at exactly where we were with VWAP. And again, I know when I actually feel silly saying I'm taking a trade based on a line. But the thing is like when you're looking at it, of course, it's just a statistic point. It's just a data point that has been traded off of for a while. Can it hold? Yes. Can it fail? Yes. It pretty much does it 50% of the time each time. But it gives you an opportunity to make up your mind and decide, I've seen this before, how do I feel about the stock, how do I feel about the move back into VWAP, and what does that mean? So that's how I use it to trade. It's not like every single time a stock gets there, I fade it or I do something the other way. That's VWAP, so let's see if we get lucky enough here with Jolts and go over to Adara.
We are just waiting here on a couple numbers, including Jolt's job openings. Previous number coming in, 8.488 million. Consensus, 8.435 million. Let's see if we have any of these numbers coming in here. Jolt's, okay, so lower than expected here. 8.058 million compared to 8.35 million previously. So nice little pop here for the S&P 500, trying to go green on the day on that Jolts number. We also got the revised core goods number coming in exactly as expected, 0.4%. Core durable goods slightly lower than expected, 0.6 versus 0.7 previously. Factory orders coming in higher than expected here, so 0.7 versus 0.6 expected. Giving back some of these gains here, but still now down only about 0.1% here for the SPY off of that lower than expected Jolts number. In terms of other stocks, keep an eye on. We're having some reversals of previous moves. Intel initially pushed up on this news that they have its Xeon 6 processor, now trading a little bit lower here, down just slightly on the day. Tesla is still chopping and churning a little bit here, falling down a little bit on weaker China sales for the month of May, and also this news that Elon Musk, as reported by CNBC, has ordered NVDA to ship its AI chips specifically set aside for Tesla to X and XAI. So a bit of a chip situation, a chip switch up, sending TSLA initially to the downside. So quite a few catalysts on watch today in addition to that economic data, guys.
I like that chip switch up.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adara. So look, it's been a good morning in terms of the trades I've been able to get into, but I'm going to slap the fail on that in NVIDIA. And as I said, as Sean mentioned, rightfully so, hands on keys when you're trading, be on the level 2 that you want to be on. So the dip happened on NVIDIA. I tried to grab it. I missed it. It is what it is. So I can't be happy about it. That was the level we wanted. It dipped at that price. I took a couple of seconds to go over something else and was discussing the super chat, which could have been fine, but obviously that's going to be a big miss. Look, this move is now breaking the market higher. I'm only in CCL. The chip names that were weak, I still think can be some fades here. I'm going to give you, well, at least myself one. Micron, which was a short off 127 previously. If we fail to top the overnight highs, and if this is just a pure NVIDIA is strong and everything else is relatively weak, then I would only be shorting one of these weak ones, which Intel, unfortunately, has two things. A, it's got the good news. B, it's so close to the 30 level, I'm not sure I have an entry to a short position unless this gets up to like 30.5. So ideally, it would be Intel, but 30.5 is nowhere in sight. You're closer to 30 than you are 30.5, which makes it a perilous short. Even if it is relatively weak, I just don't see what you do with it down here, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we said we needed some luck with that Jolts number. We got the opposite of that. It just ripped right up to the upside there and took us out. Thank you, Mr. Randy, for that one. Yeah, so Google, we were short. Boom, 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 boom. It was paying off, and then the number comes out, and we get out. And that's part of the stop order. Remember what we said about VWAP? You take it sometimes, you don't others. Right there, nice move up there for Google. So I just flipped it over and said, you know what? Let's go over to Google, to Apple. Right now. Yeah, where's my chocolate?
Randy came by and dropped a coffee over, and I looked over at my side table, and there's like this little truffle chocolate there. And then Ramin just said in my ear, I don't know how old it is. I'd be careful eating it. I have other chocolates. Well, you can't put it on my desk and expect me not to eat it. It's
I think that chocolate is fine.
Truffini, cappuccino crisp. What's the worst that can happen?
Anytime it has some kind of Italian writing on it, you're fine. Okay, right here. Look at John Yates right now. This is what we're doing, and I hope it's paying off for you as well, John. He just wants to share advice about my thoughts on that trade, and I think that's honestly what I'm trying to do, is trying to get into better positions, less of them, and better ones, because we're trying to get better and better. And just by sitting there and looking at it over and over again, I feel like we will at some point just be able to focus as best as we can on the best opportunities that's happening right now. And unfortunately, the opportunity that I'm in right here with Google and Apple right now, again, big move upside. I like Apple here today against that 193. So I'm not just going to sit here and just keep on saying the same stuff, but this has been a support level down here. That's 192.85. Apple made a move down. Again, not sure what the story is, and that's sometimes a reason to stay away from it for sure when you're like, I don't know what's going on right now. But if there's going to be strength in this market, that JOLTS number was so less job availability, I guess what that number was, right? Sort of the claims. So job openings for April, 8 million versus 8.3, so less job openings. There, so exactly. So, whether or not that's going to be good for the market or not, we'll wait to see. But for now, we're going to go long on Apple against that 193. So, I don't know. The market is just doing its thing again, where it acts like it wants to go, and then it comes right back, and guess where we are? I mean, this is pretty much, well, we just moved down 10 handles, but just a couple seconds ago, we were right in the, oh no, here comes Apple news.
Apple TV plus to China, that's good news.
Yeah, they're saying they had, but I don't, anytime there's news about China, I actually think it's negative for Apple until people actually realize that it's just either all fake or it actually is positive. It's just, they're saying that they may be considering bringing Apple TV to China. So obviously, that means the stock goes down, right, like this. So we'll wait to see what happens here with Apple. It looks like it wants to break 193 right now. That bottom is 192.85.
So I'm not getting short Micron.
Of course, now Google flushes.
Micron was close to VWAP in here. We had our offer at the 60s. You would have seen me out there. And then, again, we missed another opportunity. CCL's pulling back on us here. It just made a top at 1160, so 1670, and it's continuing to go higher. I like the dip. We just missed it off VWAP the last time. We're going to get out at 17 if we get to that 17 level. That's going to be the line in the sand for me. If this market doesn't show some more strength, I don't want to get caught up, wrapped up in this. And then Intel, like, are you kidding me? So I let it bounce off of 30. This is me 3s and 4s. It's already at 10s. Like, that's super, super fast in there. The market is trying to bounce. NVIDIA is right back down at that 1140, but I still want to grab this. If I can get this 30 fill, or at least in front of the 30 fill on Intel, I want underneath 3010. I don't want to be risking buying 12s and having to hold 15 cents on Intel, because 15 cents is a good move on Intel.
All right, so, in trying not to go mad, Google goes right back again, right into sort of this level that we, right at 930, wicked the high of, and now Google's coming back in. So, it's like you take those lumps. We were talking about getting it back in at 174. We probably should have just stuck with this short there. Instead, we thought that this move up was going to sort of create winds of change there, so we went over to Apple. And now we're kind of stuck on this one long at 193.44 right here for Apple. Derry, you got some good news?
Here is the news, the full story here with this move on Apple. The information reporting that Apple did hold talks with China Mobile to bring Apple TV Plus to China. That would make it the only U.S. streaming service available in China, so that would be a pretty big deal. Apparently, though, these talks took place last year and the status is unknown. So this news is, these talks are not necessarily recent. It sounds like they took place in 2023 based on this report. So that news just coming there out of the information. Not a lot of specific details on the status of these talks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like good news to me. I mean, I can't see any way around that being bad, but again, grain of salt.
Yeah,
is
we have to see.
It's just what it is, man. Like, you just have to see for the longer term what that might be. GameStop is now fully barcoding. The good news is it's holding 26, but look at what just happened. It just rejected a breakout above the 26 level.
Apple,
if this resolves in a fail of the 26, I'm going to jump right back into BlackBerry's not moving, so it's going to be GME and AMC that we're going to be involved in if that doesn't go back up through 26. I'm going to look for the fade. So if GameStop breaks 26 and it's another lower high breakdown trade, I'm going to punch short on AMC is going to be the play. BTC is making a bit of a rally, and I said Coinbase.
Oh yeah, 70,000.
Like I said, Coinbase 240. It got to 238 on Coinbase here, and it's starting to get close. Like yesterday, it rejected that level. Friday, it rejected that level. Thursday, it rejected that level. So another couple of dollars in here, and you could be at that 240. So let's be patient with as long as Bitcoin is not completely going ham above 70,000, which is entirely possible. It's right there right now. Then we want to be involved in that Coinbase short. Intel still trying to grab the 30 long. I'm on the bid here. I think it's weak enough that it gets there. I'm not chasing it. It's down more than the market when it had good news. I'm not chasing the long. I'm either getting it right in front of 30 and risking 5 cents, or I'm not taking the trade. I'm not going to compromise on the price here.
I can't believe Google's making that move down. All right, so just quickly here. Every single time Apple pops back up, I was offering 35s, and it stopped at 32 every single time. Just trying to take some out here for 10-cent hit. I hate that I'm involved in something when all of a sudden news hits. And, it sucks to be in that situation, but that's trading. And that's why, as us here as day traders, we have to sort of sometimes rethink the positions that we're initially in. Like, I don't think bringing up a story that's a year and a half old right now does anything for Apple. And I think it's actually probably a bad thing. So, here it comes right back down. The market's also going down. I'm more upset that we had it written on here. Like, once again, now I'm stuck long at a price that we're not even close to on our sticky note. And meanwhile, we ignored what was now $1 in the money with this Google short that we had said if it comes back up into 174 that we would hit that. So we should have started at least a short there. We wouldn't have like a monster position on or anything like that because, simply put, it didn't get to 174, and then I'd be just as mad at myself, right? I'd be saying the same thing. I'd be like, why am I in this at 172.50? All right, well, here's a nice move up now for Apple. So now we're back in the pocket, just getting some out there for flat. We just took out 15% of this trade. Happy to do that. Let's see where Apple goes now. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a boost here and try this 50 period. Could be a really great trade, but needs to start working for us immediately. It's Apple.
Yeah, Apple is, I actually think it's holding up pretty well. Triple bottom there as the market's doing its best job. But if we get a pop, I'm still looking at Micron, at VWAP. This is incredibly weak, down this 2%. Whether we get 126.5 or we just get the 126, both are going to be in play. GameStop's really close to breaking 26 even. My stop on AMC, if it were to punch it right here, my stop would be at like 88s or 90, and AMC's at the 80 level. Still tracking Tesla.
Oh, man.
I got out of this sucker when it looked like it was strong relative to the market, and it's now back at the low of the day. So if we're making the adjustment, the 77 short was good. It's at 74 now.
Low market.
So it'll be the best stock for me, but we got to get back into this one. If we're going to flush, it might just be the VWAP trade that we get. And CCL just punched through the top. So it looks like it's headed for a collision course for $17 on CCL. 17, big level on the daily. I think that's going to be a reasonable out. I think we could get a dip before then. So the trail is about to go in once we break 16.75. I'll throw a trailing stop on Carnival Cruise Lines.
Thank God. There goes Apple. I'm losing my mind every day. And Apple going up now helps with that. So there it goes. Huge move. Thankfully, yes. Like when we talk about a stock and why we like the levels and things like that, if it doesn't keep working for you, you do get frustrated. But here's Apple, man. The biggest position, dollar-wise, period, right here for me. Obviously all month and probably even including last month as well. So just dollar-wise, I know NVIDIA is probably it, but as far as other than NVIDIA, we just put on the largest position by far. of all of last month, or this month and last month. This month is early. Right there. Thank you, Mandar. It's very kind of you. Doesn't even trade, but loves listening to us. So thank you so much. I mean, we've already been, and I want to shout out to Sharif for his talks about the positive energy and stuff like that, because, I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to bring every single day. So there it is, man. Hey, yo, what's up, Marcello? I am so happy for you, my paisan there, because you took that Google short. So I'm going to say bang to you, bang for that. Awesome for that. Oh, Canada, I don't know where you're located, and have a good little chicken dinner winner on your boy right now. So there it goes, man. There's the trade for you. I hope you had it. I hope a lot of you had it. I mean, we'll stink face this Apple trade too. That was a good one, but look at the Google trade at 174. The trade idea #1, and we should have had it, but I'm glad that you guys did, and I'm glad that you're trusting in the sticky note. It's something that, again, has been here since day one of the show and isn't going to go anywhere. So there it is right there. Thanks, Jay Lee. Yeah, probably too big size. Yeah, you're right. But that is what it is, right? I'm trying to make some money. So, all right, let's see what happens here as Apple pulls back in. Watch out for 193. I mean, it went right to the 200 period. And as we were talking, we have that out there at 75. So let's see if it pulls back too much more, but we did take some off there.
Yeah, this market's breaking lower. It just lost that. The NASDAQ just lost that support. This is why we didn't chase Intel, because it gives you 4s after all. If you chased it up at 10s, then you're essentially buying a weak stock at a compromised price. I don't want to risk past that even dollar level. There was a decent amount of size, but it wasn't a huge amount of size on that offer. Watch out below. NVIDIA is looking like it might not hold that 11.4. Let me double check on Micron. Still no pop to be able to short on Micron. I don't want it at that bottom. I like the possibility of a flat bottom break here on Micron, but I don't want to be in it early. I still want to grab VWAP if we can even get it. GameStop was briefly under 26, so it did make that move underneath. It got me to punch 77s. My stop is just above 88s on AMC. That'll actually be a red stock if I lose this on this current trade on AMC, currently flat. CCL, trailing stop is now in. If it can hold to 1670, we're going to get close to 17s. The VWAP trade could be gone now, but that one's been all arrows up. I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. 17 on the daily is a big, big level. Incoming, Microsoft is trying to bounce, but that's not the one I'm looking for right now. Tesla's at that 74 level again.
All right, man, we are just, yeah, so we're into Tesla, obviously. We talked about that. I'm still upset about Google. Google's at 173. That should have been the I'm out of here trade. Like, see you later, bring Obi on. I'm going to the beach. But for right now, we'll wait for it. All right, so Apple does make a move right back up. And guess what just happened there? If you said Sean got out at the 200 period again, then you are right. So hit the money sign for that one for you, because it just did come right back up, and it's right there right now. So you can take some more outs if you do want to do that. We're going to wait for 193, 90s. See if we can get to VWAP. I mean, it is a nice move up right here. Okay, now it comes Tesla. So 174. We started the bidding here at 174.30. I do expect a break here, so let's wait to see how far it goes down on this break. But into 174. The reason why I said I expect it, it's a nice move down right here. If the market, okay, now the market's going back up, we'll take it. Oh, damn, we are just really printing now on Apple to the point where I don't even want to look at it because I'll punch out. But okay, here it goes. Tesla now going, Neil. This is going to be another one here. We finally did it, man. If we just listen to the sticky note, it would be one of those days where Obi'd have to come ASAP. But for right now, we will wait and see if we can get this going one more time. It's a huge move. There goes Tesla. Huge move to the upside right there off of that posted note. And then right here, we also have Apple up to 84. Man, this has been a good one here today as we go. Wow-wee-wee-wah.
Wow-wee-wah, it is absolutely banging off that bottom. The NASDAQ's going to hold. It could end up back green today.
Yeah.
For the first time, I actually loaded up on some longs. We just mentioned the 74 Tesla. I like 73 better, but if it bounces off 74 twice, you take that trade instead. I don't know if I still shorted at VWAP. I will play that by ear when it gets there. And then Intel bounced clean off of 30 again. It just printed some 15s. I'm going to take another leg.
What are we even doing with Apple?
This stock is just... Look, remember this stock had good news and is trending down. So you got to respect the fact that somehow, you know, this is it's just not a good stock. So if it's going to bounce off 30 and you're risking 5 cents, why not take 7 or 8 and then see if you can get VWAP later? If it gets to VWAP, I know I want to be out of this thing. And I'm probably shorting this if it gets to VWAP. I stick by that. It's just not the one. You can do a gimmick play, like a bounce off of $30. There's size on the bid. It already bounced there once. Like, that's the kind of trade that's a scalp trade. It's not a, I think this is the low of the day, and it's just going to hold. I'm not going to have that idea at all. So for me, Tesla, I'm out 75s. Take it station to station.
It's all the way at 75?
Short. Like, I was looking short 77 on this thing. So for me, it's a scalp off the 75 level. We'll go 3 for 3 with 2 shorts, 1 long on Tesla, as that's been a solid one. Just jumping back on over to Coin. We're above 70,000, but we're not at the high of the day yet on Coinbase. Ideally, there'd be a push in of $240, and then we'd fail 70,000, and that would be the perfect trade setup. But Coinbase is starting to get into the pocket of that $240 level, which has been resistance so far. But it's been a good morning, man. It's just one of those where you stay in the pocket, like wait for your trades, and then you should be okay. Coinbase, I got to let it set up. You got to let it come to your level first. It's still a couple dollars away from that big $240 level that has been rejected a couple times the last couple days.
Oh, man. I mean, yeah, today's been a good day. We talked about it, and I want to shout out the gentleman before that said, like, thank you for breaking down the trades. You know, we have 3 positions today. The Google short, which we got out of. The Tesla long, which, you know what? Let's take a piece out. Why not? We're having fun here. And then Apple, we just got VWAP, which we were just talking about. We got it twice. So far, so good. Let's go to Adara.
Slightly down in the day, but finding some pretty clear support. So let's see if we're able to break above these previous highs we've seen for the Russell 2000. We actually have one catalyst moving 2 small caps today. We have MLGO, MLGO. This is one of the bigger small cap movers today, up over 300%. Co-establishing a micro-consciousness quantum research center with WIMI hologram cloud. MLGO does have a pretty small float here, about 3.7 million shares, so keep that in mind. Also moving here is WIMI. This is WIMI hologram cloud, moving on that news as well, up about 35%. Last but not least, here we have SoberSafe, SOBR. This is a penny stock. This one has moved in the past, and right now, near day's highs, you're up over 100%, announcing that SoberSure devices have been purchased by 2 new customers. So nice move here for SOBR, guys.
Thank you very much there, Adara. Guess what actually showed enough strength? I mean, I can't believe it, but it just got to VWAP. Tesla might get there as well, but I was going to show you guys Intel. The bounce off that 30 level, I think we talk about this all the time, like be patient. Like all morning, it's like I'm only trading Intel off 30, wait for it off 30, it bounces off 30. Sometimes you get that, there's your higher low. You're risking 5 pennies. It gives that first push, didn't like it enough to hold on everything into VWAP, but you take what you can get. And that's how you stay green. The other side of the equation is, you know, AMC is going to continue to go higher. We shorted pops in this a couple of times. So we shorted 70s with an 80 stop. We were able to get some profit out there, so that ended up a flat trade, but then we short 80s with a stop there at 88. So we'll be down on it, but you've just got to be down a fraction of your winning trades, right? So when you win on a Tesla, you want to, like, I don't want to be losing everything on one trade. So try to keep it clean, 1 in, 1 out if you can, and if you wait for the levels, in a trending market, usually you're going to get the price. At this point, the market is kind of pulling back in to some support, so I would be a little bit concerned. CCL did it's not a hammer wick or anything like that, but it just rejected 1680 pretty hard. So I'm out of this one at 1670. It still gave you that nice upward trend. It could always hold on to VWAP. So you stay with the key prices, the key levels. This was a breakout over 1640. And a big shout out to everyone in the chat that mentioned that CCL was in play and we should have been watching it, because I haven't looked at these names in a while. It's been a hot minute. RCL was a big mover. CCL was 5% yesterday. It's another 4% today. Upward trend. Join the trend. Like, try to go long, strong stocks. Try to go short, weak stocks. And if you're going to lose, it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. You know, right? Like, avoid that, like, disaster scenario on one trade or another. So speaking of potential disasters, I'm not saying Intel's going to be a disaster, but if it loses 30, I'm not thinking it's going to be anything good. So I don't know if I like this one a second time off the 30 level. A bounce off 30 that can't get past the quarters, that immediately retakes 30 in a potentially falling market, you might have a nasty reversal on your hands with Intel. So count me as not going to be on the bid another time here on Intel, and I just again cancel an offer on Micron because this doesn't even want to see VWAP. Clear downward trend. Gonna have to hunt for a different price here. Like yesterday, it was VWAP retracements on Micron, it was VWAP retracements on Google for the short for me. Today, you're not really getting that kind of a fill, which is fine. It just means you got to look to another area as well. You guys let us know what else you're looking at there. Andre Skinner, what up? NCLH, yes, NCLH is also moving. It doesn't matter what you've been trading here in some of these names. Like RCL, I think specifically got an upgrade or something yesterday. They're up a couple of points. Look at I know a bull flag when I see one. I know an upward trending stock when I see one. NCLH as well. And this is into a downward trending market, right? NCLH with a very similar pattern. You just got to pick the one that you know. CCL we've traded before. Maybe that's a bad out. I don't know. But a winning trade's a winning trade. Haven't really traded NCLH, haven't really traded RCL, but we know there's good liquidity, we know there's good volume in CCL, and when it does those trending moves, I know it can be a good one. Lululemon is also green, and MLGO. So unfortunately, we never got that halt trade that we wanted to the upside. It opened higher and is continuing to hold the halt price, but showing this level at $7. So pull back off 8. And it's been holding $7 for about 20 minutes now. If it loses 7, I think you're going to be right quick at the $6 level and bouncing off VWAP and that halt price. That's where I'd look for a little cheeky bounce play to the long side on micro algo. So it's been one of those mornings. Stay in the pocket, stay patient. If I'm going to trade this name, it's got to be very, very, very specific for me on micro algo. I just heard something in my ear, but couldn't quite make it out on Alkali. AKLI. Micro algo now holding on to that $7 level. So I can throw that for the time being, not going to have that idea for the $6 as long as it's holding 7. There might be a nice consolidation play here. When you get these low float runners, I'd rather be playing along where you can maybe have a 710 or 715 with a stop at 680 as opposed to just breaking out the high and then you're risking probably 50 cents and then hoping it goes to 8. If you have a 7 long risking 25 cents, you can be long into the high of the day, and then your risk to reward's a little bit better. Still looking for that 6 because it's in a downward push. But that could all change here on MLGO. If the $7 level breaks it out.
Oh, gosh. All right, we'll do it. We'll take something out here at 50. On Tesla. There it is, face slapper. Right there, nice little move there for Tesla. As that's going to be a big one, man. I'm still. Maybe this is a long then at 172. I mean, if this is the best, I'm not putting a long on here because then I won't. Again, we talked about making sure that we trade the right moves and the right plays. Apple's struggling a little bit here at once. Okay, well they're not struggling that much. It just offered and got filled. So we'll see if Apple wants to get downside, upside. Like whether or not you put on a couple hundred shares, a couple thousand shares. 20 shares, whatever. Apple down there at 193. I just felt like we had been down here before. And it's just like at some point you got to try to trust some of the names that you talked about strength. I mean, right here, just to talk about process again, right? I mean, it's like we liked Apple. We talked about it. Market, I mean, this is kind of what we wrote. Market dips and I'm buying. Might have to hit VWAP pullbacks. I mean, we talked about that earlier. Consider buying market dips around 192. Obviously, we never got to that low, but the rhetoric stays the same. I mean, buy market dips. So market dips, checks notes, buys dips. PL1. Okay, so sometimes it's not that hard. And we talk about trading not being rocket science, but it's about share sizing and all of that. And that's why if you like these kind of trades down at that downside and you believe in them, then you actually put on shares to attempt to make some money. So that's what we did there with Apple. It is starting to go back upside. And this is the part for me. And maybe Neil and I have talked about this, and you can see it in the midday show when they talk about different strategies. But maybe it's like, I have problems getting out too early sometimes, and that's why I'm trying to wait for the 200. Okay, like right now that I see this kind of a move, I'm like, okay, right there is now it's a big one. Now it's a big one. Now we're starting to go upside here on Apple. This is a game changer, day changer for me, obviously, here as Apple continues to go. I was gonna say maybe Fibonacci retracement or something like that could give you a good idea, but you know, so that's something that I need to try to work on and try to figure this out. But when I told you that this was the biggest position of, you know, that we've had on here at and again, sans some NVIDIA trade that maybe, but I'm not even sure if that's even true. This was probably the largest position put on in a long time. So Apple trying to go back up to the upside. We only have 20-ish% left. So let's see how far Apple can go, but so far so good there. I hope it does push back to 195, says the chat. So I mean, I'm right with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Apple's been an absolute beast,
Yeah,
no question.
yeah.
It's also a red to green story pretty much right now when the market isn't. So the NASDAQ and the ES are basically mirroring themselves down 0.15 and not much. But if Apple's already green and the top gets taken out, then you've got yourself a little bit of a leader there in terms of leading the market. Now, I still think there's some things that are relatively weak, and I don't want to get away from that. Micron, I think this is our first chance that we'll actually get it VWAP. So as the market's now trending back up, in a downward trend, when we were downward trending, if it popped, I'd be a little bit more aggressive. But now I need to let it get into VWAP, show a bit of a curl, and then jump into the south side of that trade. Intel doesn't seem to want to get to that $30 level again, or even give a short off 30.30 or like 30.35 or something like that. But those two names, downward trending stocks, that to me haven't broken them just yet. Going to try to stay specific. That has worked well this morning, and I do not want to get away from that notion. CCL is still kind of grinding higher. The pullback does not give us VWAP. And Bitcoin just got back underneath 70,000 without the press to 240 on Coinbase. So it was kind of the setup I was looking for. It just doesn't get to the price that we wanted. And MLGO, it looks like it was 7, not 6. So it kind of gave you that $7 dip and bounce. I was looking to play it off the halt level, that $6 level. Just give you that one extra reason to get in. To me, would have been that halt level at 6. Let's go to Adara and get a crypto update.
Some of these miners moving around today. We have BitDeer, BTDR on the move with the share purchase agreement update yesterday after close. We also have TeraWolf, WULF. This one up almost 19% after announcing 2024 production and operations updates. So keeping an eye on some of these miners as we head into the rest of the day in the crypto space. In terms of Bitcoin itself here, pushing towards that $70,000 level, which we briefly surpassed yesterday. So this could be a nice look. I was reading some analysis as well, saying that this move potentially in GME and these meme stocks could be influencing crypto. So as we have moves in those stocks, keep an eye on BTC and the overall crypto world as well. In terms of the other crypto names, you have Ethereum slightly down to the day, just below that 3,800 level. BNB having a really nice morning though, up 5+%. Solana up 1.5%, Ripple up 1.5%, Cardano up 1%. But some mixed performance as well with Shiba Inu down about 3%, Avalanche down about 1.25%, Doge down about 0.5%. So pretty mixed performance for some of these crypto names as we head into the rest of the day, guys.
I mean, if there's not another reason to watch the market recap show, Adara, do you remember yesterday, what chart did Michael Noss say was the best in all of charting currently?
It was BTC.
BTC. So thank you so much for that one. And today you could see what's been happening to crypto and Bitcoin. So shout out to Michael Noss and shout out to all the traders that stay late. I mean, just another hit right there for you yesterday with Mr. Michael Noss. And again, we talked about it, and he said he's long Coinbase. So whether or not you were long with him before then, or whether or not you're long right now, there goes Coinbase. So congratulations to everybody that does stay late, because the market just simply never really rests. There's always something to talk about. And you want to talk about something? Let's go. I mean, all right, what's for lunch? All right, what's for lunch today? Because you know what? I'm just going to let this apple just chill out, honestly. You could have apples for lunch if you want. I mean, it's not you're not going to get everything you need with that, but if you want to have an Apple, that's okay. But today's lunch is actually not too bad. And if you're saying, you know what, Sean's hit on Google, check, hit on Apple, check, hit on Tesla, check. Let's see if we can hit on lunch. Hand battered, I think there's potential here. Hand battered, coconut crusted whitefish fillet. That's a win. Steamed basmati rice. And then mixed vegetables. I mean, a little piece of fish with some steamed vegetables, mixed vegetables.
Healthy, tasty.
I'll take that. Let's just hope it's tuna on the salad. So healthy, tasty, good option there. Joseph's lunch is Mexican, so that should be nice.
Okay.
Some good taco joints.
That we never get
around here. No, we only get it when we request it. So
Yeah,
I can put another request.
They used to do like the little those taco boat things, kind of.
Yeah, those taco bowl things. I think that was the old caterer, but yeah.
That was the old caterer used to do that.
What's up, A?
Oh wait, let's go to Adara.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on Hewlett Packard here. HPE just had a bit of a move down, but it's recovered pretty nicely, slightly down in the day. Some traders are circulating some rumors from an M&A blog that there is some activist involvement in this name. I think it's especially worth noting, keeping an eye on HPE because they do report tonight in addition to having these M&A rumors, guys.
Yeah, I just saw in the chat, Brad Gober's like, missed MU. I talked about the execution plan for Micron, though. When the market was trending down, it's like be a little more aggressive, sit on the offer. When the market was trending up in that situation, let it get to VWAP fail and then try to grab it on the other way in. I don't get it. So I try to get it here, and then when it broke down through 116.30, tried to get it there as well. But unfortunately, we don't get that fill. Sometimes that's how it is. Like, it'll work for you in a situation like Intel, where you allow it to come back in and retest the $30 level and not chase the move, and it works perfectly. And there's other times where being patient and you just don't get the fill. So I would rather do it the other way. I'd rather miss the trade to be a little bit more risk sensitive when you're going against the grain in the market. Downward trending stock, let it come to your price. Rivian, not quite $11, but it did just make a higher low bounce off of 11.12. It did this, I said you got to be patient with it because it was a late move, like 12:50, 1 o'clock when it ramped yesterday. And if you look at it on Friday, it made its bottom again, kind of after 12 o'clock. But it's already trying to put in a higher low, which it wasn't doing either of those days. Kind of like lower highs. But now it's putting in a higher low. I'll give it to that bottom at 11.12. So we're risking about 10 cents at worst with slippage. VWAP's up there about 12. I love Rivian off this $10 level. I don't think we trade $10 today. If that happens, obviously abject disaster in Rivian. So we're just going to play off the 11 for now. That's going to be the play for me. Micron might give us a chance. I'm leaving my orders out there to see if I get picked up. But until they fill, I'm not chasing it down.
All right, I just did the opposite of that. I chased down Micron. Let's see what winds up happening right here. I just punched short right now, just looking at it. I like that 126.50 area. Obviously, if it gets back up to there, we'll just put on a starter position right now for Micron and then see if it wants to work. I mean, I don't necessarily want to go against some of these longs. I mean, Tesla is absolutely smoking right now. We are looking to get some more Micron if we can get something in the 12s. And then we'll just go all the way up here. You know what? I mean, we could just, okay, there it is. We got the 12s. Okay, so, oops, sorry, I'm still on. There's Micron. Okay, so we just got short 12s on Micron. Let's see what winds up happening now. Maybe a downside push. There it is already, putting it in the pocket. There's the Micron short. So here we go. Let's go. Let's see if we can get a nice little downside push here for MU. Taking a little bit more off here as we go. There's some 96s. Here comes some 94s. It's immediately 20 cents in the money. Let's see what it does now. I mean, the market's trying to fade out here a little bit. We've already taken out our Apple. Our largest position now is Micron. But let's take out another piece of Apple just in case the market does decide to fall down. I mean, like I said, we just took out a third of Micron there because it went so fast, so quickly there. And we just missed that Apple. So, all right, let's take another piece here at 60. Okay, well, we just punch out at 69. Good out there. And here goes Micron right now. So let's go down into 90, 96, 97s here. We'll see if we could just keep punching a little bit out here because I do want to reload it. I mean, I think that this would be a great price back up to VWAP. So again, playing the weakness there in the market. We'll hammer Micron and see what winds up happening. So we just got another piece out there at 96. Again, this does not move like the rest. Very, very violent as far as the moves compared to an Apple or something like that, right? So, all right, we'll wait. Again, spread 1 cent here, spread a little wider on Micron with not too much size. So this can really get going. We're now going to have to wait for 30s or 40s to get a little bit more. We've already sort of cashed out a little bit of this one. Yeah, so Tesla long, Apple long, MU to the short.
Something just weird happened on Boeing there. Boeing cruising, and then this candle just happened on Boeing. Double top 187, which is already ominous enough, that random number. And then now you're going to see it lose VWAP. Just zooming back out here. The reason 187 matters, look at the resistance at 187 on the daily chart. Losing that level is a nasty reversal, I think. The last time it was here and dropped, it went to $170 on the same day. So if we're not going to hold 187, either it breaks down VWAP or we're just going to short it up at the 187. I don't love the stock. I would love for Boeing to be a long forever, but the stock hasn't been that. So when you reject this now twice, I think if it gets there a third time, I'm just going to get up here. 186, we'll wet beak in front of the even dollars. Let's go 85, have a stop over the high of the day, and if it gets back there, if not for the daily chart, like I was looking for things that are at key levels, if not for this being resistance to the daily chart, I probably wouldn't even like the short there. And great if it can take 190 someday. But until that happens, we're going to back off that one for sure. So I'd like to see, I'm still waiting for Micron. I want to be sort of getting it closer to VWAP. If my out's going to be up here at 126.60 or above that price, I want a price in the 30 range, risk 30 to 40 cents. Then you have like $1 to the bottom where you could scalp 3 times, have an average out of about 50 to 60, and then that's about like 2 to 1. So that way when it loses, it's not too nasty. Check NVIDIA. NVIDIA could be breaking back out here as 1150 looks like a bit of a local break on NVIDIA. Starting to find some strength is NVDA here as the market's going back into the highs. Haven't had one of these hold the bottom breakout setups on NVIDIA in quite some time. It's already 1040, which means let's go to Sector Watch and see how oil, which we forgot about, is doing.
Oil very weak here. We did have that OPEC meeting yesterday where OPEC saying we were going to start phasing out voluntary price cuts. So energy and mineral sector pretty weak, as is producer manufacturing. Consumer durables led to the downside by Tesla and a couple negative catalysts here, including weak Chinese sales and also news that they are changing their NVIDIA chips shipments from Tesla to XAI on the behest of Elon Musk, as reported by CNBC. We also have a little bit of weakness in finance here, but generally this sector board pretty emblematic of the market itself. Flat, bit of a mixed performance here. We do have some strength in consumer non-durables, pretty green across the board. Health services, UNH leading this group to the upside. Consumer services, communication, transportation a bit mixed here. We did have FedEx, FDX getting removed from the US 1 list here by BofA Global Research, but we do have Uber to the upside, UBER, this one having a partnership with Albertson to deliver local food. So pretty mixed look here. It is worth keeping an eye on these chips. Initially pretty strong, but a lot of these giving up their earlier moves, including NVIDIA and AMD. Overall, interesting board today, guys.
Say that again. I mean, Tesla right now, off of the sticky note level, we'll post it right here, is now $2 in the money. We'll go post that as there goes Tesla. I mean, an absolute monster play right there off of 174. And again, like Neil mentioned with Micron and all this kind of stuff, it's like you got to wait for your prices to come in, and when they do, just be confident in them and hit them. We knew we wanted Apple on market pullbacks. I mean, look what's Apple's doing right now. Stupid of us to get out, I guess, at 193, sub 194, but now you're starting to go right back up to the upside as there goes Tesla again, man. We're here, man. We're here. Tesla, great move back to the 200 period. Let's see where we go from here. We only have 10% left. So good move higher. Let's see where we go and watch out for Tesla. Good trade here to the upside so far.
Yeah, Tesla going, the market's going as well. NVIDIA just tried to go off the 150 level. At the exact same moment as 150 broke, you can probably imagine I got the rest of my shares on Micron, so I quickly flipped to the level 2 of Micron just to make sure I had the stop order out, because that was the position I was currently in. The stop order is in there. Probably simultaneously, these are not going to work. But the 1150 happened, I got it on the dip instead of the way up. And on the way back in, I never like it as much. If you get the breakout, I've usually already scalped out like the $1.25, and then I'm holding the next piece for like the 55 level. So I'm gonna give it to that 50s. I do like there's 53 and then 55. When you zoom out NVIDIA, the rejection at 160 and up above 1155 has been pretty big. So I don't want to be holding on to this for a big dip. If it cannot get back into the 55-60 range, when this has failed up here, it's been trend down for the rest of the day. So this break really needs to start going and needs to start holding upside here. Thankfully, the good news is Micron is not really flying. That's the thing about relatively weak stocks. Even if Micron loses, like it's into VWAP, and it's not really ripping any faces off going into VWAP here, despite the fact that the market is doing this. So it's the right stock to be short. It's just a matter of whether or not things are going to turn here, and that's part of the game. Like, it's clearly relatively weak. It doesn't mean it's going to work, but it means it's the right one to be short.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the whole case with their only losing stock that we have today, Google. And it's because we got stopped out right there breaking higher into 174. So it's like we knew the short was going to be good, but at some point you got to get out of it when it's not and then play, as Neil mentioned there, strength versus weakness against each other. And just hopefully you are going to be in the right one. So, yeah, we've got Micron right here, and it is making a move higher. So watch out. Looks like Micron will blast higher and take the stop out here on this one. But we're only out of the money, 15, 20 cents on this. So not the end of the world here on Micron. But again, in just watching NVIDIA, which I know you have long there, it's just trying to get higher, right? I mean, it's broke above VWAP. It's broke above the 200 period right now. So we don't want to see it. I know I want NVIDIA to go higher, but a higher NVIDIA pushes all ships, I feel like. So again, if it fails, you'll see them all fall down. But who knows? Let's just check out what AMD is doing right now quickly, just to see. So again, above the 200, above right now for AMD. So let's just see if this one can keep going. Here comes Micron. It looks like we're going to get stopped out in just a couple seconds here.
Yeah, I will probably get stopped out on it as well. And okay, no, it just barely, look at that. Like it just barely hung on. If it gets underneath the VWAP, I should try to trim it there. Although NVIDIA is starting to pull back off that break, so maybe not. NVIDIA over here, it makes the move into that 52 level and continues to hold 1150 to 1152. It's still lower highs on the stock. If it gets to the high of the day, I'm going to be out of this stock. I think 1160 is its own break through the highs, but one of these two is not going to work, no question about it. I am still in Rivian, but Rivian's not doing anything right now, so I don't think it's going to be that exciting. And I wanted to, apologies for, like I was monitoring that MLGO, and then all of a sudden these chip names started moving. MLGO is in a crazy upward halt, up 600% at $10.90, so it continues to go. This is the one we're bringing to you in the pre-market when it was down. I mean, who knew? Whatever, like who knows that it's going to do that. But MLGO, it's looking like a tap of $10. So it's halted up here at $10.90, but the current theoretical auction price is down at, check that, $9.90. So it's indicating it's going to open down. That's why I never want to chase them. Getting an early halt, I'll take that one long on a halt. I'm never taking a halt price way up here because people can profit take off that reopen, and it looks like some people are looking to do that on MLGO. Unbelievable. That was the one this morning for sure.
All right. I'm just getting set up in case Google wants to come back to 174. So here's the trade. Someone was just in the chat is like, what about Google? Yeah, I mean, we had the 174 marked down. We just didn't take it. So that kind of sucks. But we had the short good early until we got blown out right there. So I think it's worth looking at again as we continue to watch out for that. Tesla's just a banger for sure, man. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you about Tesla. Tesla 176, I mean, we could get that out. But I'm debating just punching out if it breaks back down below 175.55 or so. For that one, we can see if that one wants to print for us. Apple has just been, again, it'll be the #1 stock here for me. Just huge move up. We talked about putting it on there. Big move. And yeah, so, all right. Right now, we just wait for Micron. So we're short here at 29s. Obviously, we have, quite the position right now. And let's just see what winds up happening. So here it comes back in. We are going to bid a little bit here into the 20s. And again, let's just see what happens. So we're in it now. We're going to wait. MLGO starting to go as well. So there's a name there
Hit
popping
another fresh high.
through. But we are just sitting here in Micron waiting to see it. Just bounced off 30, of course, the price that we're short. So yuck. Maybe we get another benefit here. But for right now, we've got to wait to see what winds up happening here with Micron. Get down. You see where it's bouncing, literally where we're short? That sucks. We need a little bit of a breaker here. And then we'll be able to deal with this a little bit better in our mental. So let's get lower through 126.30 would be real nice. We've got a serious position on.
MLGO fresh highs again. It did open actually flat. It didn't open down. At the last minute, somebody obviously came in to buy this. It opens up pretty much dead flat, made a fresh high up at like $13 and just continues to run. I will not be chasing. There's no chance I'm chasing that stock up there. We just flushed back under VWAP. I added to Micron because the market started pulling back. I'm going to have bids in front of 126. NVIDIA doesn't make that second leg up, but we said we wouldn't hold it through VWAP, so we don't. We'll stay, I'm basically flat on the trade. If it goes, we'll have a nice one, but I'm not going to fight it. Like I said, if it rejects up here on that failed break at the top, the last couple of times it's failed over 1150 in the morning, over 1150, it's been trend down, and it's been nasty. So lower highs, I don't mind buying dips. I don't mind being long the stock, but when it fails that opening break, I need to see it break in VWAP, holding VWAP, something it's been struggling to do lately. Not to pick on it, but Intel also just wicked VWAP in here. So I said wait for it to get back there for any kind of a short. 30, 35 would be this top. It is already 10:50. Go over to Adara. We've got money talks.
DXY having its first positive day here out of after 3 days to the downside on the daily chart here for the US dollar. We did have a nice move up in the markets initially off those JOLTS job openings coming in lower than expected, 8.059 million versus 8.37 million expected. We also got factory orders month over month coming in exactly flat and exactly in line with the estimate of 0.7. We also had some revised durable goods numbers, those coming in exactly as expected as well. So the big number here today was going to be the JOLTS job opening. And so this is going to be actually a theme as well heading into the rest of the week. We have had some Fed speakers recently, including notably hawkish Fed's Kashkari, saying that the weakness, that we need to see a bit of a slowing in these labor markets. This JOLTS job openings number could certainly be one to watch, especially with some other economic data in the world of employment coming later this week. We have ISM services employment coming tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're going to be getting initial jobless claims coming in on Thursday. And of course, Friday, we have the unemployment rate and non-farm payrolls. So keep an eye on all of this labor-related data in the rest of the week, especially with the Fed meeting coming up next week, guys.
All right, we just had a day, once again, another day saver right here for us on Micron. Okay, here we go. Like I said, man, I have to scalp it out. And you guys have already sort of talked a little bit about that. Sometimes if you get nervous about your positions, it probably is because you have too many shares, but I'm trying to get more comfortable with doing this. So yeah, we'll take big shares for small bank and see if it can matter and if that works out over the long run. So right there, here it comes right now. Let's bring it back in for Micron. So again, just like couple outs here coming through, man. Our average price was $27.28. It's not like it's huge in the money, but we'll take 10 cents and then hope for more. Our best out is 12s. So let's go, man. Now we're starting to see a little bit of this pay off, the risk management. Hopefully it works out for us, but we need Micron to come back in. Obviously, a failed NVDA would help as well, so let's see if that can go. I still don't consider this failing. I mean, it's still hovering right here. We did get a move down into 1147. If this really goes, man, then wow, we're going to sing with Micron. So let's just keep the good vibes going with this trade. Thank you, Sharif, again, for that. We were talking about that when you weren't here, actually. And it's good vibes all around. So there goes Micron. Nice move to the downside. Let's go.
Yeah, it just needs to take 26, and I think it can flush. The other thing we didn't talk about for Micron was the daily chart, which we should respect. Look at the lower high being put in. It's not technically a head and shoulders. A chartered market technician could probably tell you, but it looks kind of like that to me. You know, there's a top at 134. There's that shoulder there, and it's putting in another one. As far as I'm concerned, it looks like a lower high fail as well at these levels. Maybe you see the 50 period eventually on that bad boy. I wouldn't necessarily call it a fail on NVIDIA yet, but for a breakout trade, to me, it failed the break of 1150. That's where I consider it a fail. It's still up in the air what's going to happen in VWAP on this bad boy. I don't think it's completely done story just yet, but there's that move out in Micron. It just
Let's go.
Find something relatively weak. We said we wanted 30 short, 60 stop, and then we can take outs into 1250 with an average price out probably in the 50 to 55 range if it gets to the low of the day. So it's trying to break this 126. Until it breaks 126, that's where I want the next out for myself. Rivian's still not really doing anything, and that MLGO starting to look a little less strong. I'm not going to call it weak, but a little bit less strong. That hull price of 1090, just be careful. If it loses the hull price, kind of like if it had lost 7, I think it could go down parabolically. I'm not chasing it. It's up 600%. Chinese. I don't know if it's an ADR. I didn't say it was an ADR, but it is a Chinese company with a 4.5 million float that has done 85 million shares. So, you know, go long the top at your own risk. I don't like it up here. I liked it off VWAP maybe.
All right, we just got 07s there on Micron. So, I mean, you might have heard in the background, like, this is good, man. This is really good. We're starting to do some damage here on MU. And so it's going to be a good one. I might even just take more out right now. Can you get me some 13s going once, going twice, and not sold because no one sold through there. So we'll wait. Here we go. Yeah. Sold to you, my friend, right there, because we're cooking right now. Shout out to Chef Joe and everything. This one trade right here puts us right where we need to be. It's another trophy day right now. So there it is right there. You got to put it out. Micron, nice move. Let's see what happens right now. Thank you, Ty. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for that. I like that, Ty. Thanks. Right there. I was like, what the hell's going on? I was like, okay, we'll take that there. The silverback is in the building, and here it goes right now. Bang, 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 bang. Right there. It's a good trade coming through. So let's go, Micron. Nice downside push. Here we go. And again, you know, we're both in the same trade, and I think this is a good thing to talk about. Different styles. You know, obviously we talk about the share size differences. You got to wait for bigger moves. If you know, depending on what your style is. For me, I am just machine gunning these out. So there it goes. It's a big one right here. It's going to be P&L number 2 now with Micron. So let's go, man. Good trades here. I'm glad we started talking about Micron, and Neil was mentioning it. I like that level. I don't know if it was guys in the chat or not, but there's VWAP. We can't be VWAP traders without looking for these trades. Today, we'll be where we need to be. Apple's $1 in the money. Tesla's $2 in the money right now. And Micron, if this ever goes $1 in the money, then yeah, maybe we will go golfing. Nice move down. Come on, Micron, bring it. We're bidding 86s right now on MU. So pretty good, man. Let's just see what's going on here with Micron. You're right. I should just move my bids down. Well, we've got one now into the 80s with Micron. So really good look here. It's nice when things work out. Only 4 minutes to go. Ooh, good day here. Tuesday, the weather's beautiful. We're feeling good.
It's going to be balls hot this afternoon, though.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
it's going to be super humid today. It's because the sun's going to be out. It's going to be great. I mean, like,
yeah,
I'm
let's
happy.
go.
My daughter's got baseball, so it'll be fun.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really, really hot. So, you know, stay hydrated. As I say that, I haven't actually even finished my morning water.
I just chugged this.
In there. There was just that break of 126. That's where I just got my next out. This will be one of the mornings where I'm pretty happy with it. Yesterday was a frustrating day to trade. Ultimately, momentum was not great. It was down, but thankfully, we were able to make it back in momentum and not do some stupid stuff on a buyout today, which I did yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Rivian's not doing much, but low of the day, I want the out on Micron. We said that station, short VWAP down in the low was going to be the target. That's pretty much exactly what's happening. Rivian's holding up, which is good. NVIDIA is rolling over, so that one is definitely the right move to get out of that break. Remember we said if it doesn't break and hold above that 1150 every single day, it's been pretty nasty when it makes that failure. So NVIDIA right back in, unfortunately, for that one. I'm just double checking Tesla. No, Tesla not really getting back to that 177 level. It's this is kind of just dealing in the middle, like 74, 77, now just chilling right in the middle here. I have no defined direction here for Tesla. So unless you're shorting 77 or getting that bottom play, I think you just got to back away from that one. And we only have 2 minutes to go. So I wanted to mention Intel. I did not get that VWAP short, and I already said I am not going for the long off 30 unless something insane is there. Unless there's like 3 times as much size in the bid as there was before, which I'm not expecting. The stock is way too weak. On good news, down 0.5%, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go up on good news. You're supposed to break out on good news. You're not supposed to hug the bottom, which is exactly what this depressed stock is doing right now.
Yeah, great morning here. I mean, both of us really put together some good trades here. So I hope that you guys are able to sort of see some of that. And I mean, you know, we get excited when we have trades on. I think that adds a little bit to the show. But realistically, it's just, you know, when you have the trades on, you sort of got to be a little bit of a more of a level head, right? I mean, we're just sort of putting on because A, we're using, you know, we're using shares. So that's going to be a good one. But at the end of the day, it's moving and it's trying to figure out, you know, where your stocks are to the point where you're just relaxing. And I mean, you want to be able to obviously show some emotion. I mean, that's why we're doing it. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we're trying to, and we got that great comment today already from Mandar, I believe it was. And he mentioned about just how he doesn't even trade, but loves the show. So, I mean, if I just sit here and I'm just like, okay, well, I just took 40 cents, that's fine. I could do that. But we're just sort of getting excited, letting you guys know that, yeah, there's moves happening in the positions that we have. And it's because, honestly, like, you know, emotion is real. And when you're putting on trades and you're making money, it's nice to see that, right? And I show the emotions when we lose as well. So thank you, Bob Ross, as well, for that call on Apple, or that credit on the Apple call right there. I mean, this one is we talked about this. We put on, like I had mentioned there, the largest position there, probably maybe even of the year that we've had on, probably show wide. Again, unless NVDA, but I don't think so. So that was a big one there. Anyways, we're really happy with it. And yeah, and that's about it. So Tesla right now $1.50. I was debating getting out if we break the 50 period moving average, which is now at 175.35. So that's something right there. We'll see if it can take out 176. I mean, it's been bouncing around. I feel pretty confident. Let's put our stop there. You know where my stop is on this 174.35? I mean, this is a 30 cent, 50 cent stop to now be in the money $1.70. So, you know, the stop is right for the risk to reward. Apple is now taking out or trying to take out highs. We have the bottom of the day. We have the high of the day. Let's see what happens there. Micron hopefully gets kicked in the face again, which would be really nice, down to the downside there, and then we'd really be spinning. But for now, it's been an absolutely, yeah, man, it's just, I'm just reviewing the hot fire.
Yeah, it's only because I looked over and I'm like, I am not in an Apple trade right now, but it's Sharif. So it's 11 o'clock already.
Look, good position, Sharif.
Yeah, it's a good one. I looked over and I saw it. I'm like, oh, it's still on us because
I mean, I got him beat, but you know, it's a good position. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, we've got 193.15, Sharif. Come on, man. What's going on over there? No, look, man. Whenever my guy is in the dollar club, we're gonna hit that no matter what. So there it is. Shout out to Sharif, man. This guy. Hey, I mean, there's a lot happening. You go from us to them. It's the midday. We'll see you at 2 o'clock.
Let's go.
Yes. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That in the lovely purple or violet?
I think it's purple.
Purple is your girl, Adair, and I'm Sharif. And